Com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 3. Welcome to News 6 at 3 o'clock as we bring you live into the News 6 newsroom, serving up a mid-afternoon news snack for you. And the griddle is on fire today. A lot going on. My name is Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. We have talked ad nauseum this week about how cold it has been. It is just Tuesday. All week we've been talking about it, but here's an example, a Florida example of how cold we've been. Our beloved sea cows, once again, they are huddled up trying to stay warm. They're at Blue Spring State Park where that water is a perfect 72 degrees. And you can see them just all nuzzled in there together. So love seeing that picture because it tells you a little bit about the forecast.
They're just the cuddliest things out there. Let's bring in meteorologist Julie Broughton. Julie, if you won't warm it up for us, at least do it for the manatees,
For the humanity, please.
I would do anything for the manatees. I love them. I think the best option for the manatees is to maybe just hang where they are for a little while longer. Now, we are beginning to warm up today. Here's where we started today, though. We did set some new records again. We were at 25 in Ocala. Orlando started at 30 and 29 in Melbourne. But look how pretty it is right now.
Gorgeous.
This is our light Orlando delivering hope together. Camera, lots of sunshine, finally back in the 60s, just about everywhere. 62 in Orlando, 64 in the Villages right now. But remember, the normal high this time of year is 72, so we'll get there tomorrow. But before we do, we have some more winter weather advisories posted tonight, but they're not as intense as they have been the last few nights.
My graveyard of plants, it's
I
growing.
know.
It's awful.
I know, I saw your post. It was so sad.
They were great plants, but
Yeah.
they're gone.
Well, they
Their
had a
time
good
has
run.
come. Yeah, so if they had survived, I would recommend keeping them in or covering them.
I
one
brought
more
as
night
many
because
as
of
I
frost
could
advice.
inside. I mean, I need a
know.
greenhouse or something.
Yeah.
I know, that's your next step. So we will warm into the low 70s, and then we have another cool down and then a warm up on the way, and we'll break it all down.
Another cool
coming
down,
up.
warm up. All right. We
got
can
it.
use some 80s sometime in our future. Julie Broughton, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's get you to the news now. A temporary government partial shutdown appears to be heading in the right direction. Let's show you what's going on. In the last hour, the House passed a roughly $1.2 trillion spending package to end that partial government shutdown, sending the measure to President Trump. The bill barely passed. You can see the vote happening here, 217 to 214, real tight. And it wraps up congressional work on 11 of the 12 annual appropriations bills, funding the vast majority of the government for the budget year, which ended September 30th, which ends September 30th. Last piece still being worked out covers the Department of Homeland Security. That's where Democrats are demanding more restrictions on enforcement operations. The president has said he will sign the bill as soon as it hits its desk. So at least some drama in the near term avoided.
Yeah.
On this front.
That is great news.
Yeah, we're learning more today also about a snafu for Artemis 2. We know this could be a little dramatic as they do this wet dress rehearsal. Let's take you out there. NASA says hydrogen fuel leaks in that massive SLS rocket popped up again during a fueling test last night. Same problem that delayed the rocket's debut 3 years ago. The leaking hydrogen then caused the first test flight to be delayed for months back then. Officials are hopeful it won't be that long of a delay this time. They pushed the Artemis 2 launch back from Sunday to sometime in March. Before then, NASA says crews will look into issues that came up last night, address them, set a new date for a new wet dress rehearsal. Your Brevard County community correspondent, James Sparvero, was at that press conference.
So given that you're waiting one more month at least until launch, how's the pressure feel amongst yourselves to finally fly the crew, get them around the moon?
I mean, we feel the pressure to make sure that we're listening to the machine and we're doing the right thing for the crew. I would tell you that we put that pressure on ourselves to be successful, but we don't feel any schedule pressure on this particular subject.
I don't know. I bet they feel some schedule pressure. The NASA Associate Administrator went on to say most parts for the Artemis 3 mission will be arriving at the Kennedy Space Center in the next few months. James is going to have an update on that coming up at 4 o'clock. What you have is this giant rocket and these tiny little hydrogen molecules that tend to really want to seep out.
Well, there's so much at stake here because you're talking about people on board. Maybe a different
Exactly.
situation if that were not the case, but when you're talking about 4 souls, you're going to take every single precaution
As they
available.
should.
All right, school leaders in Brevard County are warning students who are planning to protest against the action of ICE agents.
Yeah, leaders say despite the talk of walkouts happening at schools, that is in fact not allowed. News 6's Mark Lehman is getting reaction from parents.
Brevard County Schools says they've become aware of 3 campuses where walkouts may be staged at the end of the week, including this one here in Viera. And with that in mind, they're working to get ahead of any disruption, saying students who take part may be punished.
It was a quiet morning on Tuesday at Viera High School, but concern for what could happen in a few days has prompted this letter to families. Brevard County Superintendent and School Board Chair warning that students would be disciplined if they take part in any on-campus protests during the school day.
What do you think about the school district sending out the letter?
As a parent, I really value that type of communication. Proactivity is important to me.
Kim Scott says she heard online chatter of student walkouts Friday morning against ICE violence. With Viera mentioned in those posts, as well as Satellite and Rockledge High, the district says any demonstrations disrupting the school day will not be tolerated.
I think after school, before school, with your parents, that's awesome. You should be able to express yourself, your opinion. But I do agree, during school hours, it's school time.
The warning is happening as there have been walkouts at schools across the country in the wake of the shooting deaths of 2 ICE protesters in Minneapolis. As students have been expressing their views on the issue, that decision could lead to consequences.
They're kids and they're supposed to make decisions. And sometimes those decisions have cause and effect, and the effect maybe isn't something they wanted.
The district hasn't specified what discipline there may be for taking part in a walkout. The Code of Conduct, however, says administrators could choose from a number of punishments, including a 1-day in-school suspension to being suspended for 5 days out of school. In Brevard County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
All right, very interesting. We've seen it happen in the past where they do the walkouts, but we'll see if it takes place in this case.
This time.
Yeah. Well, thousands of Central Floridians are figuring out who their new boss is going to be.
Yeah, Disney announced its newest CEO today, and it's someone who is used to dealing with the 80,000 employees here locally in Central Florida. Disney, one of our largest employers here. So it's a very important story, which is why we're telling you about it. And the person who knows about such things is our own Christopher Heath, because you've covered the last 3 CEOs. What makes this guy stand out?
Yeah, Justin Merritt, he's got experience in Central Florida going all the way back to time at Animal Kingdom, covering the Disney vacation side of the business. Parks is his background. And when you think about where Disney's revenue is, we just got their Q1 earnings yesterday. Parks is where all the money is at. Revenue is up. Now, they did miss a couple of minor projections, but that still is where all of the money's coming into Disney. He's got a lot of background in that. Of course, then again, Bob Chapek, who was CEO after Bob Iger, and then Bob Iger comes back again.
Bob Iger, yeah.
He also came out of experiences, which is where Josh is coming out of, but a lot of experience in Central Florida, so obviously very good for the 80,000 Disney employees, as well as about another, let's go ahead and say 150,000 people who are associated with Disney, make their money, but don't work directly for Walt Disney World.
Does this show where Disney's leaning, though? Because for a while, all we heard about was streaming. Now a parks guy is elevated again.
I think part of that has to do with Iger coming in. When he got in after Bob Chapek had his dust up with the legislature and everything else, and Iger comes back in, that was one of the things he said. He goes, I want to right the ship on streaming. I want to get revenue up on that. Want to kind of address some of the things going on in parks. Iger implemented, obviously, the new Abu Dhabi park that's under construction or planned under construction, and about another $60 billion that Disney's committed to park upgrades. That all will continue under Josh, but the parks is where the revenue continues to be. Now, the future for Disney, streaming, digital, all that, but the parks is still the bread and butter.
Well, it's going to be so interesting to watch to see if things continue to tick upwards, because under Iger, it did again. So is he waiting in the wings to or do I have to step back in a third time?
I think everyone would say Bob Iger's probably the one person who doesn't want to have to do this for a third time. Now, he's still going to stay on in the company in other capacities. He'll still be around, but this is where, when you looked at what Wall Street did this morning reacting to this, it was anticipated for a long time. Disney stock took a little bit of a hit just because it's the uncertainty. And to your point, you don't know what the next head of Disney is going to be like. But again, this is somebody coming out of the park side, and considering the part of Disney that we know the best, the part of Disney that's here, cruise ships, the parks, that's obviously his bread and butter.
Employment for here, yeah, big
Huge
deal.
for us.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Chrissy.
Christopher. All right, the Winter Olympics kick off in Milan in northern Italy on Friday, and you may recognize one of the athletes leading the U.S. into the games. There she is on your screen right now. The Team USA announced today that Erin Jackson will be one of the flag bearers in Friday's opening ceremony. The speed skater was born and raised in Ocala, Florida. She won Olympic gold in the 2022 Olympic Games in Beijing. in the 500-meter race. Her story is exceptional because she is the first Black American woman to medal in speed skating, and it came about because during the trials, she had a little slip. Everybody knew if she ever got to the Olympics, she would win gold in this. She had a little slip. Her teammate, who made the team, said, okay, you deserve this spot. Brittany Bowe. And had it not been for Brittany Bowe, we may not experience Erin Jackson's greatness. So good on her and good on a good teammate.
And how crazy is it that we have so many good speed skaters from Ocala, Florida? It makes no sense. It's like Florida being the center of the hockey universe in professional hockey. It's just a crazy thing.
That's what we do.
But I absolutely love it. Hey, still to come, a big discussion happening today around a new way many kids are getting to school.
Plus, a lot of you are still talking about something that will not be on the ballot this fall. I mean, a lot of you. We're looking at a little bit of what you have to say.
School leaders in Orange County say more and more kids are getting hurt on e-bikes. Now they're talking about a potential crackdown. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez. The school board is having a special workshop Tuesday to talk about potential rules as it tries to find a way to keep kids and those around them safe.
Unfortunately, I think this probably does not rise to a level where it gets the attention it needs until we have several very, very serious accidents.
In November, the school board talked about e-bikes and scooters, breaking down the increased use and what the school board can do to mitigate the issues it's seeing with the surge of popularity. Some of the risk factors identified include lack of helmets, poor infrastructure to handle the bikes, rider inexperience and behavior, and motor vehicle collisions.
I think they're a little dangerous. I think they need to just be more careful, and us as drivers be more cautious around the schools, because we do see a lot of kids in them. but they are dangerous in my opinion.
Parents like Lillian Sandoval want to see action taken.
Maybe have like a designated area for those kids to go to, like away from the cars.
The school board will also hold another workshop on the topic, talking about opportunities to increase safety, which could mean increasing awareness, training for students, outreach for parents, or even banning the e-bikes on campus.
Reckless driving, pulling out, blowing stop signs, disobeying all the, a lot of them don't even know the rules. So, yes, it's very scary.
For local cyclist Chuck Holman, education is crucial.
I believe they should have to take a course, and they should have to be a certain age and have a card of some type, just like an authorized motorist on the road.
During the last workshop, board members didn't support banning these scooters and e-bikes entirely, but they did discuss leaving decisions regarding regulations up to individual schools. Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
We have done probably 100 stories about
So
those.
many, and probably 100 more will be done. You just have to be safe when you're on those things, and you have to always be vigilant and looking out.
When you're driving, it is a whole new level of watching
out. It really
out.
is.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving on. One of our biggest breaking news stories from yesterday is still grabbing your attention today.
That it is. In case you missed it, the state says Smart and Safe Florida did not get enough validated signatures on their petition to get a recreational marijuana use proposal on the ballot. State says the group got around 783,000 validated signatures. That's just under 100,000 short ahead of last night's deadline. The group says it actually submitted more than 1.4 million signatures, and the final count totals have not yet been reported. Florida Democratic Party accuses the DeSantis administration of trying to silence voters yesterday. It's not just the marijuana petition. None of the 22 proposed amendments will be on the ballot this fall.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that our viewers will not be silenced because there were more than 500 of you who commented on this story. Christina says her husband's vote on the petition was rejected because they couldn't verify his signature on the ballot to his voting signature. They looked identical, she says. Allie says she signed 3 petitions this year and only got a notice to verify her signature on the recreational marijuana initiative.
Interesting.
Okay, and let's just say Raul thinks there's something fishy going on. He says there's plenty of signatures, they just don't want to vote on it.
All right, well, our poll, of course, stems from that recreational marijuana proposal. If you would like to weigh in on it, take a look at the bottom left of your screen. You can scan that QR code and weigh in. We want to know, do you think recreational marijuana should be legal in the state of Florida? Right now, most people on our poll, 89% in fact, say yes. If it were to become a constitutional amendment on the ballot, it would require 60%. Last time, only got about 56.
Yeah, just missed it by a little bit, though. But apparently, those numbers don't line up with what the story is actually saying, because people want to vote on it. Well, still to come, a big recall for something that you may have in your cupboard at home.
Yeah, plus, could you be entitled to some cash from a media company? We'll talk about that coming up. Let's take you live to the U.S. Capitol, where senators are proposing a deal that could shake up the movie industry. They're looking at it anyway. The Senate Judiciary Committee, which includes Senator Ashley Moody, holding a hearing right now to examine the competitive impact of that proposed Netflix Warner Brothers transaction. CNBC reporting Warner Brothers is likely going to hold a shareholder vote on the nearly $83 billion sale to Netflix next month. Netflix's CEO gained some notoriety in recent months for wanting to shorten the time movies would be in the theater to mere days before heading to Netflix. He recently walked that back, committing movies to have a 45-day theater run should that deal actually go through.
I'm News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez. SiriusXM settles a class action lawsuit, and Costco issues a recall for a popular bakery item. Let's get over to Maribel Aber and today's Money Matters. Maribel, that recall is important for those with allergies.
Sure is. Stephanie, Costco recalling certain baked goods that may have been mislabeled and pose an allergy risk. The company's safety notice says some caramel mini beignets were mistakenly packaged with others that have hazelnut. The product could be potentially life-threatening for any customers with a tree nut allergy. Costco urges that the item be thrown away or returned for a refund. Full recall details can be found on the Costco's website.
And some people who received calls from SiriusXM could actually be entitled to some money.
You know, audio entertainment company SiriusXM is going to pay millions to settle a class action lawsuit over do not call violations. The company was accused of repeatedly contacting customers who were on the national do not call registry. SiriusXM denies any wrongdoing but agreed to a $28 million settlement. The alleged violations stretch back to 2019. Now, a final hearing for any settlement objections, that's set for early May. Eligible customers have until March 21st to file a claim. Stephanie, details can be found on SiriusXM's website. They make it not very easy. You've got to go search settlement for a link to that claim form. Stephanie.
Thanks so much for that information, Maribel. Remember, to get the latest money and consumer news anytime, just head over to clickorlando.com.
Yeah, it's always so easy to sign up for something
Hard
and
to
try
get
to
out.
figure out how to get out
It's
of
like
it.
the mob, basically, trying to
Well,
get out of
I
these
wouldn't
things.
know.
I'm shocked the do not call list is still a thing. How many of these scam calls do we get every day? And they just keep on going. All right, still to come, we're getting an update on the status of those swans at Lake Eola and how they're dealing with that avian flu outbreak we told you about weeks ago.
Yeah, it's pretty devastating. And ahead at 4, 2 people are out of jail today after a judge ruled against the federal ICE holds keeping them detained.
Coming up in the morning, planning for the future in Osceola County. The major road in the works you may not even know about yet and where you can see those plans up close. Plus, temps are warming up, but it may not last long. Candace will have an update on the timing of that cold front. We'll see you for News 6 Morning starting at 6.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. We're still waiting to get some answers on what killed hundreds of vultures at Blue Springs State Park in Volusia County. It's a story we told you about last week.
Yeah, in Winter Springs, we heard some ducks had died there, and officials at Lake Eola with the city of Orlando just getting back to us about that bird flu outbreak they had there. Your community correspondent, Jana Manohalal, has been looking into this, digging into some documents. Jana, what have you found?
Yeah, the city of Orlando just got back to us with that records request. They gave us everything from emails to protocols. The emails are between Commissioner Patty Sheehan, who's in charge of the lake here, and a lot of the emails have been praising her, you know, for the commitment to the comfort and care of the swans here. But some people are even offering some suggestions. One said maybe a wired cage system to keep like the 6 swans in one area. We even saw one suggestion that says take all of the swans that are left in the lake and then package them up and ship them to the UK at a rehab facility. Of course, that's not really an option with the city of Orlando right now, but what they also sent me is this little Parks and Rec, hold on there, standard operating procedures. That's what this is. This is their rules and regulations on how they treat the avian flu here at the city of Orlando and here at Lake Eola. I mean, you can see that there's quite a few swans that are still left over right now.
Yeah, thank goodness. And when we first started reporting it, we were surprised at the number. We were saying like a third, and then it went to almost a half of those swans, population decimated. When you first started reporting on this story, and we started reporting a few weeks ago, there were signs everywhere telling people to not do certain things. Are you still seeing those precautions happening out there?
Yeah, look, those signs are actually still here. It's got the big sign right here. There's some smaller printed ones at other parts of the area, but the city tells me, I did ask about them earlier today, so the city does tell me that, you know, bird flu kind of takes about a month to dissipate. So they're hoping that these signs will stay up for the rest of the month, maybe seeing that there's no other deaths amongst the birds here. But you know, I asked for an updated number as well, and when we first reported this, like you said, it was a third, and then as of the 12th of January, we heard it was 32 swans, and as of today, or excuse me, as of the 21st of January, it was 37 swans. Now, the city says that, you know, since the 21st, there's no increase in the number of swans that have died here, but again, we're just pushing them to make sure that we get some answers about, you know, the care of these swans and everything like that. But they've also removed those bird feeders when this first started, and those are still gone as well to make sure that there's no contact between humans and the swans.
We have to do everything possible to keep them safe because shipping them back to England is not an option on the list. Yeah. All right, Jana, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Hey, some big questions in Marion County tonight. There were some weekend wildfires, and people are wondering, were these things dangerous? Could they have maybe even been toxic?
Yeah, so News 6 uncovered it was a stockpile of chemically treated railroad ties that caused the fire in Dunellen. News 6's Troy Campbell was at a packed city meeting. This happened last night as people want to know just how harmful that smoke was that they were taking in and what happens to the charred pile of debris left behind.
Yeah, people here in Dunellen, they filled City Hall. It was standing room only. There were even people outside once we arrived, all concerned about Sunday's fire. We spoke to several people who are also concerned that those health effects will be long lasting.
Just that we care about this. We care about our home. We care about our well-being of all the citizens.
Lifelong Dunellen resident Dr. Ava Bellin says she showed up to City Hall on Monday night to voice her concerns about the health impacts from Sunday's massive fire.
Everyone's worried about the overall health of everyone who lives in the area, everyone affected by the fire. So the smoke was dangerous. It's not just normal smoke.
The Marion County Fire Department says the fire broke out near East McKinney Street and North William Street at a stockpile of railroad ties. Fire officials warned people in the area, saying the chemically treated wood can produce heavy, irritating smoke, and asked people to avoid the area if possible and keep windows, doors closed.
I don't live far from there. We had a notice of evacuation, so we didn't know what to do.
Leroy Thomas lives nearby where the fire occurred. and says he showed up to City Hall because he's concerned both about the air he breathed in and what chemicals were left behind.
I went down there to look around, and fire was everywhere. It's bad.
Homeowners say it was their understanding the owners of the railroad tie stockpile were working to dispose them from the area because of the threat they posed.
They delayed it too long, and our worst nightmare, which we had warned them about, was this fire.
Giadi Palmer, with the environmental organization the Sierra Club, also came out on Monday to address Dunellen leaders.
It was shock and dismay and just deep concern about what the impacts were going to be, how quickly the fire was going to be contained.
In response to the fire, the mayor of Dunellen also declared a state of emergency as crews worked to put out the flames.
The fire department cannot be grateful enough. Those folks getting out there, rolling up their sleeves and putting that fire out, and at risk to themselves because, these are toxic chemicals that are being spewed out.
And as for the takeaway, people who live near the area say they're now hopeful the property will be cleaned out and all those chemicals will be properly disposed of. In Dunellen, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Yeah, if you live there, that's the least you want.
Wildfires are scary enough, then you start smelling extra chemicals and
What
things
is
in
that?
there.
Yeah.
I don't blame people for being freaked out. Well, there is an effort to expand the school guardian program. Right now, it's at places like high schools. Well, they're talking about pushing this to colleges and universities, and it took another step forward in the House. Education and Employment Committee unanimously backed the proposal today. It allows presidents of colleges to designate employees and faculty who would be trained and receive a concealed weapons license to carry guns on campus. The bill comes after a shooting during Florida State last spring, where a student killed 2 people and hurt 5 others. An assistant professor at FSU who was on campus when the shooting happened argued against this proposal, though, pointing to confusion in the hours after last year's shooting, where at one point she emerged from her class to several armed law enforcement officers.
They were pointing guns at me because they too still believed that there might be a second shooter hiding somewhere on campus. What if I had stepped into the hallway holding a weapon because I wanted to protect my students?
It's an interesting point. The proposal still has to go before the Budget Committee before reaching the House floor. A similar effort in the Senate has yet to appear before any committees. Usually trickier to get things through the Senate, so we'll see if this thing has any teeth or not. But it is moving in the House.
Yeah, all right. Well, new infrastructure is coming to prepare Central Florida teens for high-demand jobs. I think this is a great idea, by the way. Brevard Public Schools has been awarded more than $2 million in federal funding to launch new aviation assembly and fabrication programs. Now, this is at Space Coast Junior Senior High School. The district will use the money to build a new program offering hands-on, industry-aligned training in aircraft assembly, structural fabrication, welding and metalwork, surface preparation, and painting, maintenance, and repair practice. Officials say the skills directly reflect the needs of Florida's rapidly growing aerospace sector and the emerging advanced manufacturing economy nationwide. Now, officials say it is modeled after the district's highly successful aviation pathway at Eau Gallie High School, and that's a program we've covered many, many times because those kids go on to get sometimes 6-figure jobs right out of high school.
Yeah.
So that's why that's so important.
So important. And
Yeah.
that is a job AI is not going to be able to replace for a very
Can't
long
do everything.
time. And you don't have to get all that pesky loan business.
Oh, you won't have to pay
You'll
back
be
loans. Yeah, that's
suffering
for
under
sure.
those for years to come.
Well, health officials in South Florida are looking into a measles outbreak on college campuses. Officials say so far at least 11 cases have been confirmed at Ave Maria University. That's about 20 miles southeast of Fort Myers. Leaders say what began as just 2 confirmed cases on Friday ballooned to nearly a dozen over the weekend because measles is fast spreading. Health officials said at least 4 people remain hospitalized. Students at the university say they've seen ambulances actually take people away.
I was up early at like 5:30 yesterday morning and I saw the ambulance taking more kids, and I think it's mainly just because they're dehydrated and just they're not getting enough fluid.
Now, emails shared by students confirms the cases most likely originated from a student's holiday travel from another state. And when you look at, I'm about to travel. I got a travel advisory for a place I'm going saying that there is a measles outbreak there.
Really?
Yeah. So you'll
Interesting.
get advisories, and it's we're not the only place. It's in a lot of places right now.
Something to keep an eye on for sure. Tampa Bay Rays getting a big show of support for what is supposed to be their new home. There's been a lot of talk about this online, a lot of chatter. Our CBS affiliate in Tampa Bay reporting the Rays and Hillsborough College have reached a preliminary agreement that could bring a new ballpark to the college's Dale Mabry campus. The proposal outlines a redevelopment, including a new stadium, hotels, housing, retail space, new academic facilities for the college. Odds are, if you've been to a sporting event in Tampa, which I know you have, you know this area pretty well. It's right next to George Steinbrenner Field, home to the Yankees spring training, where the Rays played ball last year, and right across the street from Ray J. Today, Governor DeSantis gave the plan his stamp of approval.
Baseball belongs in Tampa Bay. Baseball can succeed in Tampa Bay.
Okay, so the governor previously said the state won't finance a new stadium, but is open to helping with infrastructure improvements like traffic and road upgrades around it to get people to and from.
I just can't tell you all the back and forth over a new stadium because people hate Tropicana Field. They just don't like it.
It is. Supposedly, I've never seen a game there, but I've heard it's terrible. All right, talk to move the Rays really ramped up in the last couple of years after Hurricane Milton tore the roof off of the Trop. After spending last season playing at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, the Rays set to return to the Trop this season, the beloved Trop.
I love it.
There was hope the Rays would choose Orlando as their new home after that was damaged. We covered that effort. It was the Orlando Dreamers extensively. As of the fall, the investment group said they remain committed to trying to bring baseball here to Orlando, but it seems as if bringing the Rays, the short trip over to Orlando, at least at this point, does not look likely.
Yeah, but I am in the minority of people who love that stadium.
You do? What do you love about it?
You don't have to sit in the blistering sun. Games are never canceled or postponed because of the weather. It's like the spring. It's like Blue Springs where the manatees huddle. It's always 72 degrees and nice inside. It's beautiful.
That's a good sales pitch for the Trop. I like that.
Put a roof on it. We'll be back in just 3 minutes with another check of your forecast.
Yeah, and I have a crazy story after the break. A local coach had some hot water over some comments on a group text to his players about a rival across town. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I want to take you live right now. Look at this gorgeous picture. This is Daytona Beach. I see very few bodies on the beach, though. That's because it's still a wee nippy out there, a little cold. So I'm joined now in the studio with meteorologist Julie Broughton. Julie, can we have a moment of silence for all the plants that didn't survive?
Oh my gosh.
Because my yard, it looks like a graveyard.
It really is sad. You know, I always say that I live in a townhome so that I don't have to take care of plants. I have one plant. It also didn't make it.
Okay, I feel better about my choices.
Yeah, just one single solitary plant.
It didn't.
And off
Okay.
it goes.
All
So we do have a frost advisory posted for
Again,
some of our
okay.
areas tonight. So if you have some plants that did survive and are taking refuge somewhere, maybe just leave them there for, you know, another few days. Here's what it looks like for us right now. We saw that beautiful shot from our beach cam. 61 degrees right now in Daytona Beach. Most of us are in the 60s, and right now that's still about 10 degrees cooler than normal. Here are those advisories we have posted for tonight. So this is progress, though. So we've got some frost advisories for our northern counties. Those are overnight until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yesterday at this time, every single county in Central Florida was under freeze warnings.
Wow.
So this is better, and this is the beginning of a warming trend, which is underway right now, but tomorrow we'll be back in the normal range for our highs for a moment. Here's where we start tomorrow. Still, some of you will be in the 30s. We're talking about 30s northwest of Orlando, and then we'll go into the 70s tomorrow afternoon. But I want to show you the lows over the next several days. What sticks out at you, Ginger? Do you see anything that troubles you?
Well, why are we Friday? That low is 38?
Yes, so we go back into some more cold temperatures on Friday, but it's short, it's brief. But this is what it will feel like Friday morning. That guy, that little cartoon guy, he is going through it.
It's accurate.
29 is how it will feel in Ocala Friday morning. It will feel like 32 in Orlando. Some good news, we do need some rain. So tomorrow night into Thursday, the system that will bring us that brief cool down, it will bring us a chance of rain primarily for our Thursday morning. Now, we're not talking about drought busting rain. Of course, our drought numbers are very concerning, but we'll take any rain we can get with rain chances overnight Wednesday into Thursday at 40%. And then by the weekend, we're back in the 70s.
Oh my God. Okay. Now I want the 80s to return, and I know that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, well, we will keep it warmer than normal as we move into next week, so maybe we can throw an 80 in there for you pretty soon. And you can keep track with all these changes by downloading our free News 6 weather app. Just search WKMG in your app store.
Okay, we've been talking a lot about the cold weather now, but Matt Austin is in the newsroom with a very heated topic. Matt, this is a story you've been trying to really nail down for the better part of a year, it seems like.
Definitely a few months. I've been working on it for a few months, and it's been interesting to come together. So we all know high school football coaches, they can use some colorful language when it comes to talking about a rival across town, but very few of them put those rants into writing. Well, I recently got my hands on a text message from a Winter Park football coach to his offensive line, and I want to warn you, some of this text message has a lot of profanity in it.
The Winter Park football team went 6-5 last year. Before their October 24th matchup with crosstown rival Timber Creek, offensive coordinator Kit Hill sent this group text to the 2025 Hogs. That's the offensive line group chat. In it, he briefly writes about strategy aimed at the Timber Creek defense. Then writes, quote, "Side note, I hate going to their hole field. I hate walking through their hole stands and by their hole students, parents, and fans. I hate they make us ride out there to beat their. They should come to us every year so we don't have to go all the way out to that inbred hole dump of a place."
Winter Park players forwarded that text message to Timber Creek, who then sent it to me. Now, I sent a request to the district, and after months of waiting, they sent me this professional standards file. In it, the district found sufficient evidence to support the allegations. Hill apologizes, saying, quote, "At no point did I intend any disrespect or harm toward Timber Creek High School, its students, faculty, administration, or parents. My comments were meant to encourage our team and maintain the spirit of the rivalry. I deeply regret that my actions have resulted in unintended consequences." The case was closed. Hill received verbal coaching for the text. He's still listed as faculty at Winter Park High School. However, the website no longer shows him as offensive coordinator. So, of course, I reached out to the district for comment. They said they do not comment on personnel matters. I also reached out to Coach Hill. He did not respond to me.
Okay, so my question, I didn't do sports ball in high school.
I didn't do sports ball.
So you guys both were sports people.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I played football.
Okay, so what is that common?
Yes, it's 100% common. I've had football coaches say worse things than that. But that
Not
was a
in a
long
text
time
message,
ago,
yeah.
and they certainly never put it in a text
writing,
message,
yeah.
which you know you're sending to a bunch of kids. It could very well get out.
And that's another thing, sending stuff like that to kids makes it a little different.
The reason I thought this story was interesting and important is because you don't really know what coaches are saying to your kid. So it gives you a little
Yeah.
look into, at least in this case, what was going on.
You know, I just come to think about you, and you have kids who play soccer on the weekends, and sometimes you see the parents get very passionate. Were the parents, are they even upset? Would you be upset if you knew your kid was getting these kinds of text messages from the coach?
It would be shocking, I think, to see.
Well, your kids are still young.
They are. They're 11 and 9. But I think that anytime an adult uses that language when it's sent to children, it is still,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm being naive.
My wife made a good point to me. She goes, all of the teachers, all of the staff at OCPS, they have to take bullying classes
Right, yeah.
and learn about all these
We
things.
tell our
So
kids not to
what
talk like
does
this, not
that
to do
show?
these sort of things.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
does that show? What does that model for these kids?
Uh-huh.
Certainly something to talk about in the future.
And people are talking about it
I bet they
online
are,
today,
yeah.
that's for sure. You'll hear a lot
Definitely
more
talking about it at
that.
Timber Creek, too.
Oh, boy. Okay, I bet there's a part 2 to this story, but
Could be.
we'll see.
All right, one of the big stories, as you guys know, is the cold weather that we've
What?
been dealing with. Exactly. And it's not just humans, as we've been reporting, who've been impacted this, but also iguanas. And, you know, they're falling out of trees, like all over
They're
South
just
Florida.
Passing
So
out everywhere, yeah.
we want to warn you, you might find this next story also a little disturbing.
Okay.
One person with a curious appetite had an idea about what to do with all of those iguanas. Abby Dodge with our CBS affiliate in South Florida has more.
Ryan Escudo spent the last 48 hours trapping green iguanas across South Florida. He says he hasn't gotten much sleep, and his mission is twofold: educating people online about the invasive green iguana species and having a lot of fun while doing it. He decided to call up his friends at Buck's Coal-Fired Pizza to create the ultimate Florida man dish, iguana pizza. There's some bacon and cheese, but the real star of the show is the fresh pieces of iguana on top. Ryan recognizes this dish isn't for everyone, but did say it was worth a taste.
We were able to do good work and remove these iguanas and educate people, and it was just a great time. So last 48 hours have been one to look back on forever, for sure.
Okay, this is why people become vegans.
You think?
Oh my God! I mean, the pizza looked appetizing.
It looked pretty good. It looked like sausage.
But because you know
From
what
a
it is.
distance. From a distance.
Yeah, you know
Don't
what it
start
is.
singing.
No.
You know
Would you
what
try
is.
it?
100% no.
I've had alligator, and I thought it was delicious.
Really?
Gator tail is good.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. You haven't had gator tail?
I have, and I did not
You
think it
didn't
was
have
delicious.
Done right. It can be gross, but if the right person
I mean,
does it,
I'd be a hypocrite. I love venison.
Venison's great.
So I'm not, but I've never had the
Yeah.
gator, and I'm not going to try the iguana, I don't think.
Who knows? Give it a shot.
I'm not going to do it.
Ah.
No.
All right, moving on. A local hero is being recognized for taking action that may have saved a teen's life.
Yeah, he says he was just in the right place at the right time, and why officials say it was so much more than that.
A man who saw a teen in trouble and pulled over his car to help was honored Monday night here at DeLand City Hall. I'm News 6's Alex Cook. A grateful city honored Joseph Wells, the real-life hero, who says that anyone would have done what he did. Everyone here, though, respectfully disagreed.
He acted without hesitation, successfully restraining the attacker until law enforcement arrived. His decisive actions likely prevented serious injury or loss of life.
Joseph Wells stood before DeLand City Hall, honored for his heroism on January 20th. DeLand police say Wells was driving past a bus stop that day and saw a transient man with a knife, Christopher Schwabel, attacking a 13-year-old boy. Armed with only a toolbox, police say he fought Schwabel off the teen and pinned him down until DeLand police officers arrived to arrest him. Body camera shows the moments officers arrived on the scene. Tonight, that teen joined Wells along with the rest of the city to thank him for saving his life. After the mayor's proclamation, the police chief presented Wells with a Distinguished Citizen Service Award for his bravery.
We had a citizen see someone in need and intervene and help. And I think that's rare in today's world, and we certainly appreciate Joseph.
Wells, ever humble, accepted his awards without a word. Chief Umberger says people like Wells are all too rare, and he's proud that he lives in DeLand.
Nothing that I can recall in my 33-year-plus career where a person intervened like Joseph did.
Schwabel, that man who police say attacked the teen, is being held in the Volusia County Jail without bond as he awaits trial. In DeLand, Alex Cook, News 6.
Congratulations to him. We're getting ready for News 6 at 4 o'clock, and we're following some breaking news that's coming out of Marion County, an update on a fire in Dunellen.
Yeah, there's also a meeting underway right now in Orange County talking about potentially closing 7 schools. We're going to have that for you coming up. News 6 at 4 starts right now.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
Coming up, federal judges ruling that an additional 2 immigrant detainees have been unlawfully held at the Orange County Jail.
I'm meteorologist Julie Broughton. We've seen another cool day, but we're enjoying a lot of sunshine and warmer temperatures are headed our way. I'll break it down in minutes.
So no chance anymore of launching its 32-story moon rocket this month. NASA now hopes that 4 astronauts will ride around the moon no earlier than March. I have the latest.
We start News 6 at 4 with some breaking news.
In Marion County, leaders have declared a state of emergency in Dunellen.
Yeah, this comes after a large fire broke out near a stockpile of chemically treated railroad ties. Just last night, neighbors packed City Hall to voice health concerns to the leaders there. As thick smoke affected a nearby neighborhood, Marion County leaders say the Florida Department of Environmental Protection is on site right now monitoring air quality and collecting soil samples. This declaration helps make sure the county and emergency services have all options available to address any potential contaminations. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on this story for you, both air and online. And coming up at 4:30, we're going to take you to the meeting that happened Monday night where neighbors shared their concerns with the leaders there.
Most of us are finally starting to see some temperatures that we're a little more used to.
Yeah, but we're not entirely out of the cold woods just yet. Meteorologist Julie Broughton joins us now with a check on your forecast. Julie.
Some of us did start the day again in the 20s, and it will be a little on the chilly side again tonight, but we're not talking about nearly as cold as we were this morning. In fact, I don't think any of us will wake up in the 20s tomorrow. Then by tomorrow afternoon, we'll be back in the low 70s for most of us. Here's what's happening for you right now. This is our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera over downtown Orlando. Sunny skies, 63 degrees. We are still running about 10 degrees cooler than we should be this time of year. 64 in Ocala along the coast. If you're in Daytona Beach or New Smyrna Beach, you're at 51 and 61 degrees right now in Mico. Now, this is what we like to see if you're kind of over the cold. The 24-hour temperature change, about 10 degrees warmer in most spots than we were yesterday at this time. And then when we're back here tomorrow, tomorrow will be about 10 degrees warmer than we are right now. Now, we do still have some winter weather advisories posted overnight tonight. Frost advisories for all of our areas shaded in blue. So if you have some sensitive vegetation, you still may want to go ahead and leave that inside. Here's what we're expecting for tonight. We'll go down to 40 in Orlando. The normal low this time of year is around 51. If you're in Ocala, you'll wake up to 35, 36 in the Villages, and 39 over tonight in New Smyrna Beach. Now, we do have some rain on the way and some cooler weather, then some warmer weather. So a little bit of something for everyone. We'll break it all down for you in minutes.
Most of us want the warmer weather, though.
I
All right,
agree.
thank you, Julie. Well, thousands of Orange County families could be forced to change schools.
In just minutes, the Orange County School Board is meeting to consider closing 7 schools due to low enrollment. Your Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton is there live. Tylisa, what can we expect to happen at this meeting?
Lisa and Ginger, we can expect a possible large crowd of parents wanting to make their voices heard when it comes to those closures and rezoning. So what we know so far is that for the past few weeks, members and school officials have been collecting surveys and collecting information from members in the community when it comes to those community comments, which those are expected to be shared today. Now, last week we saw those rezoning maps for the 7 schools that could close. The superintendent said the biggest cause was because of the low enrollment, and the reason behind that varies between a decline in birth rate, expanding school choice, and legislation changes. Now, we spoke with the board member right before this meeting here, and she said this about this workshop tonight.
Showing them the maps, letting them see where those boundary lines would be. And if parents had a different suggestion, maybe there's a certain community that they feel doesn't make sense to put in one school versus another. And so those parents can come today and just share their thoughts on that.
Now, just like you heard from that board member right there, they did say that based on some of those recommendations that parents or staff could make, they could change or modify some of those rezoning maps for those schools and for those students that could be impacted by those rezones. So again, we'll keep you updated throughout, not just this show, but also the 5 and 6 about what the latest of what parents have to say about this school closure rezoning. We've heard from parents before about how this is going to impact them. Again, no vote is happening today. This is just merely a workshop and to get those public opinions from parents. However, a vote on a decision that could be made as early as March. Reporting in Orange County, I'm Tylisa Hampton. Back to you.
Yeah, a lot of people still paying close attention to this workshop. Tylisa, thank you. Staying with Orange County Public Schools now, the district is looking at ways to rein in e-bike usage before students get hurt. The school board is holding a workshop right now on e-bikes. In November, leaders talked about ways to slow down the rise in e-bikes and e-scooter usage. The district has had some reports of safety issues with them, with these devices. Some include a lack of helmets, roads not made for these devices, crashes, and rider inexperience. One option could be increasing awareness and training for students. Neighbors we spoke with say something needs to be done.
I believe they should have to take a course, and they should have to be a certain age and have a card of some type, just like an authorized motorist on the road.
I think they're a little dangerous. I think they need to just be more careful, and us as drivers be more cautious around the schools, because we do see a lot of kids in them, but they are dangerous in my opinion.
During the last workshop, board members did not support a full ban on these e-bikes, but did discuss leaving regulation up to individual schools. Again, this workshop is happening right now. We'll let you know how it goes. ICE is in hot water. Only News 6 was in federal court today as not one, but 2 defendants were released.
Judges issuing stern warnings to attorneys for the federal government. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti joins us now live from the federal courthouse. And Mike, so far there have been 5 releases, with one judge today comparing the actions of the U.S. Attorney's Office to those of a, quote, third world entity.
Yeah, Lisa, Ginger, good afternoon. If only cameras were allowed inside federal court, because there were a lot of moments worth capturing today. Those words about the, quote, third world entity were uttered in the first habeas corpus hearing of the morning. Now, a habeas corpus hearing, just as a primer, is when the government must show it has a legal right to detain someone During that hearing today, Judge Paul Byron admonished the assistant U.S. attorney, going as far as to threaten criminal contempt charges.
Ahora no entiendo si ellos mismos están diciendo que es algo injusto, ¿por qué lo siguen haciendo?
Johnny Rondon Rodriguez, released from custody Tuesday in attorney Philip Arroyo's second habeas corpus case of the day.
I think what we're seeing today is the separation of powers in full display.
Federal Judge John Antoon ruling that Rodriguez, who has a brain tumor, has been unlawfully detained at the Orange County Jail for almost a month, solely on an immigration hold.
Hay guardias que se molestan hasta por pedir un medicamento.
What we are seeing is massive detention and arrests, which are illegal, unconstitutional, and quite frankly, immoral.
When held on an ICE detainer with no underlying criminal charges, a person can only be detained there for 48 hours. Arroyo says what's been happening lately is ICE agents pick up the detainee between 48 and 72 hours and rebook them hours later, which Judge Paul Byron described as a way to artificially reset the clock, calling it, quote, wildly inappropriate.
Today, the Constitution prevailed.
Judge Byron was the one who ordered Arroyo's other client released, and he criticized this rebooking practice, suggesting it violates a temporary restraining order and telling the assistant U.S. attorney that within 72 hours, he wants the specific name of the person responsible for the rebooking practice.
So in Johnny Rodriguez's case before Judge Antoon, there was another notable moment worth mentioning. It was when an assistant U.S. attorney representing the U.S. Attorney's Office stood up and told Judge Antoon he was withdrawing the government's position because he claimed it was inaccurate. The attorney told the judge, quote, I want to do the right thing. So the attorney's office there made no argument, and then Johnny Rodriguez, as you saw, was released immediately from federal custody. As of today, we checked back in with the Orange County Jail. According to county spokespeople, there are 134 inmates with an ICE hold and no underlying local criminal charges. We're live outside the federal courthouse. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Mike, thank you. We have new details about what went wrong during a test of the moon rocket at the Kennedy Space Center. The Artemis II launch now delayed until at least March. Today, your Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero pressed the Artemis launch team for answers.
So no chance anymore of launching its 32-story moon rocket this month. NASA now hopes that 4 astronauts will ride around the moon no earlier than March. Monday's test to fuel the Artemis II rocket revealed a similar problem that delayed the uncrewed Artemis I launch 4 years ago: hydrogen leaks. NASA told us in a new press conference that a lot went right with its wet dress rehearsal, like a full tanking of 700,000 gallons of propellants on the first try. But because of the issues, this rocket is still not ready to fly its first crew.
So all in all, a very successful day for us on many fronts, and then on a couple of others, we got some work we got to go do.
How's the pressure feel amongst yourselves to finally fly the crew, get them around the moon, especially considering the administration wants to land on the moon in just 2 years?
I mean, we feel the pressure to make sure that we're listening to the machine and we're doing the right thing for the crew. We put that pressure on ourselves to be successful, but we don't feel any schedule pressure on this particular subject.
And about the schedule, the mission managers didn't say when a second wet dress rehearsal could happen. It took 4 of them before they were ready to launch Artemis I 4 years ago. They're hoping they can fix what the rocket needs addressed at the pad and avoid a rollback to the vehicle assembly building. That would likely delay the launch even more. Whatever they decide, we'll keep you updated on this mission around the moon right here on News 6 and clickorlando.com. In Brevard County, I'm your Cape Canaveral community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
James, thank you. Developing this afternoon, a judge says the man accused of attacking a jogger and violating his probation is incompetent to proceed in court. Tyler Fight was placed back in jail in December after he was accused of not showing up for a mental health evaluation and failed to alert his probation officer about a change of address. Investigators say in April of last year, Fight assaulted a female jogger in Orlando's College Park neighborhood. In court yesterday, a judge ruled he is not currently mentally able to understand the proceedings or participate in his own defense. His next hearing is now scheduled for April. New at 4 in Flagler County, a man and woman are in custody after what deputies say was an intense standoff.
The sheriff's office says it got a report Monday of a suspicious truck on North Ocean Shore Boulevard and Camino del Mar Parkway, that's in Flagler Beach. When deputies approached the truck, it took off down State Road A1A. Flagler Beach police say it used stop sticks to disable the car, leading to a standoff with both people in the truck and officers for more than an hour. Deputies used devices to get the two people out of the car when one took off onto a nearby beach.
Good boy, buddy, good boy. Get that girl. Drop what you have in your hand. Drop it now. Drop it now. Stay on the ground. Do it now. Put your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back now.
That is intense. Mei Ling and Jamie Allen Mays both face charges, including resisting arrest. In Lake County, we're learning a geologist is on site at the road that collapsed, prompting a closure. We're talking about Church Empire Road in Groveland. Lake County officials estimate the depression is 200 feet long, 90 feet deep, and 90 feet wide and 50 feet deep. They say the road is closed from Bear Lake Road to Edge Hill Drive. They also are expecting results from the geologist to be back early next week. In Orange County, we have some voter registration deadlines to tell you about now. The registration deadline for the Eatonville mayor and town council races is Friday. That race is set for March 7th. For the Maitland City Council and Oakland Town Council races, the registration deadline is February 9th. Both races are scheduled for March 10th. Some big news announced today from Disney.
There are some changes coming in leadership. Coming up, who Disney has selected to replace CEO Bob Iger later this year. Plus,
hey, I'm News 6 anchor Eric Von Anken, and we have a special Getting Results at Home today with the lovely Miss Jacqueline, who's 85 years young. She told us she needs help with everything. So we're going to try and help her with everything and show you a few house hacks along the way. That's coming up.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Hey, I'm News 6 anchor Eric Von Anken. The handy newsman over there is Jeff, the crafty cameraman. And today's a little bit different. Remember, every single week we ask you to tell us about projects that you need help with. Well, Miss Jacqueline over here, she said she needs help with everything. So today we're getting results at home in Pine Hills, and the idea is to try and help her with everything. I don't think we need that today, Jeff, but we definitely need all this stuff.
Uncle Eric Von Anken, welcome to my house.
Thank you, Miss Jacqueline.
Please come in.
So nice to meet you. Thank you.
There are some vents in the ceilings that need to be cleaned.
I see one here. It's pretty
Yes,
dirty.
there are about 5 or 6 of them.
5 or 6.
Or
Okay.
6 of them. There is a hole at the bottom of the patio. Snakes, cockroaches come out of it.
We don't want rats and snakes coming out of it, especially not today.
I am 85 years old.
85 years old.
And I have severe osteoporosis arthritis. Right now I am in a lot of pain. I have to lie down.
Okay. We're going to let you lie down. We're going to get results. No, the paper towel, Jeff. This is some of my favorite stuff. It's actually called Great Stuff. It's foam in a can. For this project, the right thing to do would be to replace the entire door because that's where you're supposed to knock. Right, the rod that Jeff found inside the door. So instead, we're going to give this a shot. It's a kick plate, a cost-effective solution. It'll cover the rod, at least for now. How'd we do?
Very well. Very well. Thank you for your help. You did very well. Unfortunately, you are cannot handyman.
I think I'm a better TV news anchor than I am a handyman.
Yes, I like to see you when you are giving the news. God will bless you for your kindness.
You are so very welcome. If we can, we'll come back.
I will appreciate that.
I think we got results at Miss Jacqueline's home today. For now in Pine Hills, Eric Von Anken, News 6.
He does make it look easy.
He does. He's good at both things. He's a good TV man and he's a good handyman.
Yes,
all of
very
the above.
talented.
Yes.
Julie, how are things looking in the weather? Speaking of a very talented person.
Thank you. I was just thinking I have new doorknobs and he makes it look so easy. I haven't been brave enough to tackle it yet.
You can do it.
But maybe I will now. Things are looking a lot better for us in the weather if you're interested in a warm up, and I know a lot of us are. Now tonight, still on the cool side. Not as chilly as we were when we woke up this morning. Some of us were in the 20s this morning. I don't think we'll see any 20s tomorrow morning. Then we'll be back in the 70s for our afternoon highs tomorrow, but we're tracking our next front that comes through tomorrow into Thursday. That brings along with it some rain and then a quick cool blast Friday morning before we go back into the 70s this weekend. Here's how we started the day. 25 in Ocala, 27 in the Villages. We had freeze warnings in place area-wide overnight and into this morning. Now, we do have some advisories in place tonight, but those are frost advisories, so we're getting a little bit better. Check this out. This is a record stretch the last 3 mornings. Sanford has set new records. Sunday, they dropped to 23, and that is the coldest February morning on record in Sanford. So I think some of these 20s are out of here, at least for now. We do have frost advisories posted for all these areas, shaded in blue. So that means those will be up from about 2 tomorrow morning until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here are the temperatures we're expecting. There's your average low. Typically this time of year, we're around 51. We'll go to 46 in Melbourne, 40 overnight tonight in Orlando. 37 in Palm Coast. Here's how we're doing right now. This is a look outside for you. This is our Daytona Beach sky cam. Gorgeous blue sky. We've seen some people out enjoying a walk on the beach. Not really a day to dip into the water. 59 degrees right now in Daytona Beach. You're at 63 in Kissimmee, 64 in the Villages, and 63 in Wildwood. Now, here's your hour-by-hour forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson.
Okay, this picture, this is a real showstopper. This is Winnie.
I know who
She
that
is
is.
wrapped in a scarf. I think she's giving Jackie O. She's giving warm. I actually know Winnie personally, and she's wonderful. 59 degrees at 6 o'clock, 55 degrees at 7 o'clock, 50 at 8 o'clock. Look at her bone structure with that blanket. I just love it. All right, satellite and radar imagery showing high pressure has been in control of our weather. That is continuing to slide off to the east. Here's that front we mentioned. This comes through tomorrow into Thursday morning. I do think we're looking at the potential of some rain for our Thursday morning drive to work and school. Here's where we are Wednesday evening. Then as we take you into the overnight hours Wednesday night, dry for the most part. Then by around 6 o'clock, we start to see some of those showers spreading from our northern counties down toward the attractions. Fairly widespread for us by around 7 o'clock, and even into around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we could still see some of those showers hanging around. Unfortunately, I don't think rainfall totals are going to be what we need with our drought numbers, but again, we could potentially see a wet morning drive Thursday. So overnight tonight, 40 in Orlando, 73 for your high tomorrow. Then that quick cool down. We start the day 38 on Friday, but back into the 70s by the weekend. And we see, I think, a warming trend as we go into next week.
Brownie points for Winnie sporting the Indiana Hoosiers wrap, too. I know you and her have lots of connections.
We have lots in common.
Yes, thank you, Julie. We are just days away from the start of the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, even though winter's already started for us, the games start this Friday in Italy. And of course, Central Florida will be part of the opening ceremonies. We'll show you how.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Light Orlando.
Disney has announced who will take over for Bob Iger as CEO.
The company says the leadership role will go to Josh D'Amaro. Now, he is the current chair of the company's Parks division. That could be welcome news for investors who have watched Disney stock struggle for years now. The company is involved in several highly competitive spaces like streaming, TV, and movies. Its theme park division, though, is seen by many as Disney's rock. It can typically be counted on to deliver profits when other divisions struggle. Disney TV head Dana Walden will become president of the company and chief creative officer. Central Florida will be well represented when the Winter Olympics kick off from Milan in northern Italy on Friday. Team USA announced today Erin Jackson will be one of the flag bearers in Friday's opening ceremony. The speed skater was born and raised right in Ocala. She won Olympic gold in the 2022 Games in Beijing. In the 500-meter race, she is the first Black American woman to medal in speed skating. And congratulations to her. That's exciting news, and I'm looking forward to watching her this year as well. In DeLand, city officials taking the time this week to honor a Good Samaritan.
So you may remember last month we told you about a man who stepped in to help a 13-year-old boy during an attack at a school bus stop. Coming up, we're taking you to the moments where the teen and the man who helped save him were reunited. We are following breaking news at 4:30.
Eustis police are asking for your help, looking for a person they call a person of interest in a stabbing incident. It happened at Farron Park around 1 this afternoon. Officials didn't say anything about if there was a victim in this case. Eustis police say the person is armed and dangerous and to not approach if you see him. Instead, call Eustis police. A judge says the man accused of attacking a jogger and violating his probation is incompetent to proceed in court. Tyler Fight was placed back in jail in December after he was accused of not showing up for a mental health evaluation and failed to alert his probation officer about a change of address. Investigators say in April of last year, Fight assaulted a female jogger in College Park. Another story we're keeping a close eye on, hydrogen fuel leaks in the massive SLS rocket popped up once again during the fueling test. The Artemis II launch has been pushed now to March. Until then, crews will look into the issues that came up during last night's rehearsal.
Back to that breaking news we've been following in Marion County. Neighbors are under a state of emergency there due to this intense fire from over the weekend. Chemically treated railroad ties burning, sending thick, polluted smoke into the air. News 6's Troy Campbell shared the concerns from neighbors at a meeting Monday night.
Yeah, people here in Dunnellon, they filled City Hall. It was standing room only. There were even people outside once we arrived, all concerned about Sunday's fire. We spoke to several people who are also concerned that those health effects will be long lasting.
Just that we care about this. We care about our home. We care about our well-being of all the citizens.
Lifelong Dunnellon resident Dr. Ava Bellin says she showed up to City Hall on Monday night to voice her concerns about the health impacts from Sunday's massive fire.
Everyone's worried about the overall health of everyone who lives in the area, everyone affected by the fire. So the smoke was dangerous. It's not just normal smoke.
The Marion County Fire Department says the fire broke out near East McKinney Street and North William Street at a stockpile of railroad ties. Fire officials warned people in the area, saying the chemically treated wood can produce heavy, irritating smoke, and asked people to avoid the area if possible and keep windows, doors closed.
I don't live far from there. We had a notice of evacuation. So we didn't know what to do.
Leroy Thomas lives nearby where the fire occurred and says he showed up to City Hall because he's concerned both about the air he breathed in and what chemicals were left behind.
I went down there to look around. The fire was everywhere. It's bad.
Homeowners say it was their understanding the owners of the railroad tie stockpile were working to dispose them from the area because of the threat they posed.
They delayed it too long, and our worst nightmare, which we had warned them about, was this fire.
Giatti Palmer, with the environmental organization the Sierra Club, also came out on Monday to address Dunnellon leaders.
It was shock and dismay and just deep concern about what the impacts were going to be, how quickly the fire was going to be contained.
In response to the fire, the mayor of Dunnellon also declared a state of emergency as crews work to put out the flames.
The fire department cannot be grateful enough. Those folks getting out there, rolling up their sleeves and putting that fire out and at risk to themselves because, these are toxic chemicals that are being spewed out.
And as for the takeaway, people who live near the area say they're now hopeful the property will be cleaned out and all those chemicals will be properly disposed of. In Dunnellon, Troy Campbell, News 6.
A Brevard County woman who was raped as a child more than 30 years ago will be allowed to pursue a lawsuit against the city of Melbourne.
Elizabeth Bradshaw claims the Melbourne Police Department mishandled the rape investigation back in 1990 when she was just 11 years old. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has been following this story and has the latest developments.
Although the city of Melbourne says what happened to Elizabeth Bradshaw decades ago was abhorrent and tragic, the city tried to get her negligence lawsuit thrown out. But a judge has ruled that the litigation will proceed.
I had to change clothes. I had to go to the hospital and they did a rape kit.
Elizabeth Bradshaw was 11 years old when she says she was raped by a family acquaintance. News 6 is not identifying the man because he's never been charged with the crime.
You named him the night it happened.
Yes, sir.
You told police his name.
Absolutely.
When Bradshaw was still young, she says her mother told her the accused rapist had committed suicide. For decades, Bradshaw believed her attacker was dead until she recently bumped into him at a gas station.
My whole body just kind of froze.
Bradshaw immediately contacted the Melbourne Police Department, which found this original 1990 police report that says the suspect was not located or contacted. The agency also discovered that all of the physical evidence, including the rape kit and Bradshaw's semen-stained nightgown and underwear, had been disposed. Without that evidence, the state attorney's office says it cannot prosecute the suspected child rapist.
An officer of Melbourne Police Department destroyed the evidence in the active rape case of an 11-year-old child.
The city of Melbourne believes governments generally do not have a legal duty to provide police or security protection to specific individuals, but Bradshaw's lawyer argues that her case is an exception. The judge says more information is needed from both sides, and so he's allowing Bradshaw's lawsuit against the city to proceed for now. Mike DeForest, News 6.
It is a warning to students who are planning to protest the actions of immigration and customs enforcement. Brevard County district leaders say there has been talk of walkouts at some schools, which is not allowed. News 6's Mark Lehman is showing us that warning and getting reaction from parents.
Brevard County Schools says they've become aware of 3 campuses where walkouts may be staged at the end of the week, including this one here in Viera. And with that in mind, they're working to get ahead of any disruption, saying students who take part may be punished. It was a quiet morning on Tuesday at Viera High School, but concern for what could happen in a few days has prompted this letter to families. Brevard County Superintendent and School Board Chair warning that students would be disciplined if they take part in any on-campus protests during the school day. What do you think about the school district sending out the letter?
As a parent, I really value that type of communication. Proactivity is important to me.
Kim Scott says she heard online chatter of student walkouts Friday morning against ICE violence. With Viera mentioned in those posts, as well as Satellite and Rockledge High, the district says any demonstrations disrupting the school day will not be tolerated.
I think after school, before school, with your parents, that's awesome. You should be able to express yourself, your opinion. But I do agree, during school hours, it's school time.
The warning is happening as there have been walkouts at schools across the country in the wake of the shooting deaths of 2 ICE protesters in Minneapolis. As students have been expressing their views on the issue, that decision could lead to consequences.
They're kids and they're supposed to make decisions. And sometimes those decisions have cause and effect, and the effect maybe isn't something they wanted.
The district hasn't specified what discipline there may be for taking part in a walkout. The Code of Conduct, however, says administrators could choose from a number of punishments, including a 1-day in-school suspension to being suspended for 5 days out of school. In Brevard County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Any minute now, the president could sign a bill ending the partial government shutdown. The House passed the spending bill this afternoon. The deal will only temporarily fund the Department of Homeland Security, creating another funding deadline in just 2 weeks. The vote marks a hard-fought win for President Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson. They pushed GOP lawmakers to back the measure despite some resistance as Democrats demand reforms to immigration enforcement policies following federal agents fatally shooting 2 Minneapolis residents.
Body cameras must be required by law and masks must come off. Judicial warrants are a requirement, not a suggestion.
I'm happy to report Republicans got the job done. Our majority worked together and we got the bills over the line.
President Trump is expected to sign the bill soon to end the shutdown. Meantime, it was all smiles to start the day on Wall Street, but that quickly changed with some sharp sell-offs today as we take a look at the Dow. Here's a look at how things ended today. The Dow at one point was down more than 400 points, but ended down 166. The S&P dropping more than 85 points today. The NASDAQ at one point down about 2%, but ending down 1.4%. Many stocks seeing some big swings today with earnings reports and tech stocks taking some hits due to fears about AI impacts. Last month, police in DeLand say a transient man pulled out a knife and attacked a 13-year-old boy at his school bus stop.
Now the city is sharing its gratitude to the man who stepped in and helped that teen. Coming up, how city leaders honored Joseph Wells for his bravery.
Plus an update on the swan deaths at Lake Eola. Julie.
We have seen a frigid start to February, and we do have frost advisories posted for some of Central Florida tonight. Heading into next week, we're looking at warmer than normal temperatures. I'll break it all down coming up.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
A live look now from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., where President Trump just signed the bill to reopen the government. The House passed a roughly $1.2 trillion spending package to end the partial government shutdown around 2 o'clock this afternoon. This wraps up congressional work on 11 of the 12 annual appropriation bills, funding the vast majority of the government for the budget year ending September 30th. The last piece still to be worked out covers the Department of Homeland Security, where Democrats are demanding more restrictions on enforcement operations. We, of course, will continue to follow this throughout the evening.
All right, want to check in again with meteorologist Julie Broughton because we're hoping that the worst of this freezing weather is now behind us, Julie.
Yeah, I think that the longest stretch and likely the coldest stretch has wrapped up. Some of us again this morning started out the day in the 20s, and we've seen a very cold start to February. I mean, we're only on the third day, but we only reached a high of 46 on Sunday, then 54 on Monday, and today we're in the low 60s in most spots. So we'll see our highs again about 10 degrees cooler than normal for today. However, that will change. In fact, tomorrow we'll be back in the normal range. A brief warm up tomorrow, but then as we go into next week, I think we'll see the beginning of a longer stretch of warmer than normal temperatures. In fact, some of the models indicating by this time next week, we could be close to 80 degrees, which I know sounds appealing to a lot of people, especially after we've been dealing with temperatures like this. We started out for a lot of you in the 20s this morning, including Palm Coast. You were at 27. 32 is how you started the day in Leesburg. It was 30 this morning in Orlando, 29 in Kissimmee, and 29 in Melbourne. Now, we will see again temperatures cooler than normal tonight, but notice as you take a look area-wide, no 20s on the map tonight, but we will see some spots close to freezing. 35 for your low tonight in Ocala and 37 in Palm Coast. And because of that, we do have some frost advisories posted for our northern interior counties, so don't be surprised if you see a little bit of frost out there tomorrow morning. Here's what's happening for us right now. Really pretty shot. This is our Launch Credit Union camera in Cape Canaveral. Lots of blue sky area wide. 61 degrees right now. Your winds along the coast are coming out of the east at 7 miles per hour. 65 in Kenansville. It is 64 in Poinciana. 64 as well in Salt Springs. Bellevue, you were checking in at 65 degrees. Quite a bit warmer than we were yesterday at this time, and will be even warmer tomorrow when we're back here for the 4 o'clock newscast. 13 degrees warmer right now in Wildwood than you were 24 hours ago, and 10 degrees warmer in Orlando. Now notice we're seeing really light winds, but as we head into the day tomorrow, we'll start to see our winds becoming more southwesterly, and that will help to kick our temperatures up a little bit. Your hour-by-hour forecast as we take you through the rest of the evening. This is one of our favorites. This is Mr. Gray, and he is on his gray heating pad, staying nice and warm. Doesn't he look happy? 55 degrees at 7 o'clock. We'll keep it dry, and 50 degrees at 8 o'clock. This is the water vapor imagery, and we saw the blue sky in all of those shots. That's because we have a lot of dry air in place. Here is our next front, though. This begins to approach tomorrow, and it works through our area tomorrow night into early Thursday. That will bump up the moisture and will bring us a pretty decent chance of rain. We desperately need to get some rain in here. The drought numbers are just very concerning. We're not talking about drought-busting rain, but any rain will be helpful. So tomorrow night at 11 o'clock, we'll still be dry, but as we move through the overnight hours and into your drive time on Thursday, you could see some pockets of heavier rain in Flagler County, and really the modeling beginning to even tick up on the rain chances a little bit, so we may need to bump those up. Behind that, we'll see a temporary cool down for Friday, but then we'll be looking a lot better as we head into the weekend. So 73 tomorrow, 40% chance of rain early on Thursday. Friday, we wake up at 38. It will feel close to freezing in some spots. Low 60s Friday afternoon. Then we begin that warming trend for the weekend and into next week.
A man who saw a teen in trouble and pulled over his car to help was honored Monday night here at DeLand City Hall. I'm News 6's Alex Cook. A grateful city honored Joseph Wells, the real-life hero, who says that anyone would have done what he did. Everyone here, though, respectfully disagreed.
He acted without hesitation, successfully restraining the attacker until law enforcement arrived. His decisive actions likely prevented serious injury or loss of life.
Joseph Wells stood before DeLand City Hall, honored for his heroism on January 20th. DeLand police say Wells was driving past a bus stop that day and saw a transient man with a knife, Christopher Schwabel, attacking a 13-year-old boy.
Armed with only a toolbox, police say he fought Schwebel off the teen and pinned him down until DeLand police officers arrived to arrest him. Body camera shows the moments officers arrived on the scene. Tonight, that teen joined Wells along with the rest of the city to thank him for saving his life. After the mayor's proclamation, the police chief presented Wells with a Distinguished Citizen Service Award for his bravery.
We had a citizen see someone in need and intervene and help. And I think that's rare in today's world, and we certainly appreciate Joseph.
Wells, ever humble, accepted his awards without a word. Chief Umberger says people like Wells are all too rare, and he's proud that he lives in DeLand.
Nothing that I can recall in my 33-year-plus career where a person intervened like Joseph did.
Schwebel, that man who police say attacked the teen, is being held in the Volusia County Jail without bond as he awaits trial. In DeLand, Alex Cook, News 6.
I received this email from a viewer named Matt. Now, Matt emailed asktroopersteve@wkmg.com, and I love this. He says, when driving east on I-4, I see so many drivers try to get out of the exit lane at Lee Road. Now, he goes on and says, I noticed on a recent drive that there is an upcoming exit sign after Fairbanks, but it does not have the yellow exit only indicator that the lane will end, which is really good observation. He goes on to say, drivers then round the curve and have only a few seconds to navigate that along with traffic joining from Fairbanks. Has anyone looked at why the sign hasn't been updated? So we're passing Fairbanks, like Matt had indicated. We're now in that right travel lane. All right, we're going over Fairbanks, right lane, Lee Road, half-mile exit. We're going to stay here just so we can see specifically what Matt's talking about. Here it is, first one. Right lane, Fairbanks entrance ramp to eastbound comes in, and we're here. We're going to stay, but look, that car thought it went over. That's the exit ramp. They had to merge back in. So now, I-4 Lee, we're in the far right, and you have barely time to get out, or now you are stuck. And this is exactly what he's talking about. If I wasn't prepared, I got to shoot all the way across. If you're there and you are paying attention, hear me out. I do believe even if you are paying attention and you're in that far right, it does not give you enough time to get out of that travel lane to get over to the left so you can continue eastbound. So what I'd like to do is get a follow-up from Department of Transportation, and it's not a gotcha moment. This might be something they tell me, Steve, we're within accordance of what the instructions are, we're not going to change anything, or hey Steve, man, maybe we can move that sign up closer to Fairbanks to give drivers a little bit more of a heads up to get out of that left travel lane. And I truly, truly believe that that's possible.
All right, developing tonight, we are getting an update from the city of Orlando on bird deaths at Lake Eola.
Yeah, this is a story so many of you were interested in last month, and more than a dozen birds died from bird flu. Well, News 6 has now learned that since January 21st, 37 birds have died at Lake Eola in just that time. Experts say it takes a month for the flu to clear out, but there will be signs telling you at the park to not interact with the birds at Lake Eola. For the time being, your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal will have an update for you tonight on News 6 at 5 o'clock. Speaking of which, it is up next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
A lot ahead for you at 5. An issue during a dress rehearsal yesterday, pushing back the launch of Artemis 2. Coming up, we're going to take you inside the press conference held today. The questions your Brevard County community correspondent had for those Artemis program managers. Plus, the debate on the future of 7 Orange County schools. A live report on what we're learning today. And your forecast is only minutes away. Don't forget you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this look at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus.
students making their voices heard. Coming up, Orange County Public Schools will talk about the possibility of closing 7 schools. What those parents have to say next.
Plus, an update from leaders at NASA after an issue with Artemis.
I mean, we feel the pressure to make sure that we're listening to the machine and we're doing the right thing for the crew.
The questions we brought to leaders today. And later, I'm digging into a series of profane texts sent by a high school football coach to his players. You're watching News 6 at 5. Breaking right now, President Donald Trump just signed a bill to reopen the government after a short, partial shutdown. The House passed that package today. The bill includes 5 full-year spending bills. It also includes a short-term funding agreement for the Department of Homeland Security. That DHS funding also goes to things like TSA and FEMA. But tonight we have some new details about what went wrong during a vital test of the moon rocket at the Kennedy Space Center.
The Artemis II launch delayed now until at least March. Today, your Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero pressed the Artemis launch team for answers.
So no chance anymore of launching its 32-story moon rocket this month. NASA now hopes that 4 astronauts will ride around the moon no earlier than March. Monday's test to fuel the Artemis II rocket revealed a similar problem that delayed the uncrewed Artemis I launch 4 years ago: hydrogen leaks. NASA told us at a new press conference that a lot went right with its wet dress rehearsal, like a full tanking of 700,000 gallons of propellants on the first try. But because of the issues, this rocket is still not ready to fly its first crew.
So all in all, a very successful day for us on many fronts, and then on a couple of others, we got some work we got to go do.
How's the pressure feel amongst yourselves to finally fly the crew, get them around the moon, especially considering the administration wants to land on the moon in just 2 years?
I mean, we feel the pressure to make sure that we're listening to the machine and we're doing the right thing for the crew. We put that pressure on ourselves to be successful, but we don't feel any schedule pressure on this particular subject.
And about the schedule, the mission managers didn't say when a second wet dress rehearsal could happen. It took 4 of them before they were ready to launch Artemis I 4 years ago. They're hoping they can fix what the rocket needs addressed at the pad and avoid a rollback to the vehicle assembly building. That would likely delay the launch even more. Whatever they decide, we'll keep you updated on this mission around the moon right here on News 6 and clickorlando.com. In Brevard County, I'm your Cape Canaveral community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Thank you, James. And speaking of rocket launches, a SpaceX launch malfunction could have impacts here in Central Florida. The malfunction happened last night in California. That Falcon 9 was taking more Starlink internet satellites into orbit when the issue happened. All 25 satellites were deployed. SpaceX is reviewing all data before returning any rockets to flight. Of course, we're staying on top of both these developing stories. We'll have all the info on our website, clickorlando.com. We'll be posting updates there as we get them. We'll also be bringing you the latest right here on air. Well, Orange County Public Schools is considering the closure of 7 schools.
And happening right now, parents are getting a chance to weigh in on how they feel about the potential shutdowns. We want to get you right over to your Orange County community correspondent, Tylisa Hampton, who is at that meeting tonight. Tylisa, what are you seeing there and what are you learning about this proposal?
Well, Lisa and Matt, we do know that just right before this meeting, there was a discussion over e-bikes. No surprise, because we've been hearing about this issue all over Orange County. However, that meeting's still going on right now. Then right after, that's when the discussion over the school closures will begin, especially with those rezoning, where we will finally hear from those parents. We do know for the past few weeks that board members and also school officials, they had been talking with community members and also parents about how they're reacting to the possibility of those 7 schools closing and then having that rezone. So the superintendent said the biggest cause was because of low enrollment, and the reason behind that varies between a decline in birth rate, expanding school choice, and legislation changes. Now, we spoke with a board member right before the meeting started. This is what she had to say.
Showing them the maps, letting them see where those boundary lines would be. And if parents had a different suggestion, maybe there's a certain community that they feel doesn't make sense to put in one school versus another. And so those parents can come today and just share their thoughts on that.
Now, because that meeting was scheduled to take place at 4:30, so it was already scheduled to be underway, but again has not started because they're discussing e-bikes. We have seen just a little bit more people trickle into this boardroom right here behind me. And again, just like you heard from that board member, they're supposed to be listening to the community on if they have suggestions, especially if staff members have suggestions, and that can modify some of those rezoning maps that they've already decided, especially when it comes to the enrollment and what student goes where. And they said that's very important that they listen to parents about that. Now, again, no vote will be taking place tonight. However, we do know that the earliest the vote could take place is in March. Reporting in Orange County, I'm Talisa Hampton. Back to you.
Talisa, thank you. And the cold weather just beginning to maybe ease up in Central Florida, giving us a little air.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Unfortunately, it's not expected to last long. Let's bring in meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. Jonathan, another winter blast is headed our way.
Yeah, the good news is that secondary one coming in by the end of this work week, it's not as intense and it does not last as long. And then Florida kind of fights back as we get into next week. We're back to the upper 50s right now, certainly still way below where we should be for this time of the year, but certainly making improvements. 63 for us in Oviedo. Good evening in Wildwood. We are at 63. Ocala, we are at 65 degrees right now. Now, tonight, it's going to be another chilly one, not as cold. Still the opportunity for some frost, mainly along and northwest of I-4. The skies are going to remain clear. The breeze is going to be on the calmer side, which will allow some patchy frost to develop, mainly northwest of I-4 tonight. That's been the other big thing that has changed. High pressure pretty much plopped right on top of us, and that is keeping our wind very light to calm. That will allow temperatures to cool a little bit this evening. Again, only back to the upper 30s and lower 40s. So again, we are pulling out of the chill just to head back into it by the end of this work week. We're going to pinpoint the timeline of when our next cold front slides through, and even some increasing rain chances, guys, coming up at about 5:17.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, we first brought you this scene yesterday as breaking news at 3 o'clock. You can see Empire Church Road in Groveland with a large depression right in the middle of it. Today, we're learning a geologist is on site taking a look and trying to figure out what exactly happened. The depression prompted the closure from Bear Lake Road to Edge Hill Drive. Now, it's described as being 200 feet long, 90 feet wide, and 50 feet deep. Geologists are working to determine what exactly caused the road to sink. Their test results should be in sometime early next week.
President Trump says Republicans should take over the voting process and nationalize it. The president continues to claim elections are being stolen. Now, he's never been able to prove those claims in court. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
With 9 months until the midterm elections, President Trump suggested Republicans should take over voting procedures in certain places, speaking on a podcast with former Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
The White House says the president was calling for Congress to pass GOP election legislation, which would require citizenship documentation to register to vote.
I don't think any rational person who's being honest with themselves would disagree with the idea of requiring citizens of this country to present an ID before casting a ballot in a federal election.
Elections experts say research shows voter fraud is extremely rare, and the Constitution gives states the authority to run elections. Congress also has the ability to alter elections rules, but not the president.
It's a system that works well so long as the states make it a priority to ensure the integrity of our elections.
Democratic Senator Mark Warner called the president's latest comments a pretext to conduct what he fears could be unprecedented federal intrusion into elections.
This threat to our election security, the basic premise of our democracy, is forward-looking to 2026, into 2028.
Warner also expressed concerns about the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, being involved in an FBI raid on the Fulton County, Georgia Election Center last week over 2020 records. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
An effort to expand the Armed School Guardian program to colleges and universities took another step forward in the Florida House today. The Education and Employment Committee unanimously backed the proposal to make changes in the public school system. This after the 2018 mass shooting at Parkland's Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. The bill's sponsor says input for her proposal came from students, parents, faculty, and staff members of state colleges and universities.
This bill creates a prevention and a response mechanism unlike any other. This will be the beacon for the nation if we get this passed.
The bill comes after a shooting last year at Florida State University. FSU Assistant Professor Emily Stewart argued against the proposal, pointing to confusion in the hours after that shooting. She says at one point she left her classroom to find several armed law enforcement officers.
They were pointing guns at me because they too still believed that there might be a second shooter hiding somewhere on campus. What if I had stepped into the hallway holding a weapon because I wanted to protect my students?
Under the bill, presidents of each college or university could designate employees and faculty to be trained and able to receive a concealed weapons license to carry guns on campus. A similar effort in the Senate has yet to appear before a committee.
2 people were killed and 6 others injured in that shooting rampage on Florida State University's campus. Deputies identified the gunman as now 21-year-old Phoenix Eichner.
During the shooting, law enforcement knew for a fact that the only people on campus with firearms should be other law enforcement or the active shooter. How will mixing in armed, somewhat trained civilians affect their response?
Eichner faces 2 counts of first-degree murder along with 7 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Eichner's trial is set to start later this year. Only News 6 was in federal court today as not 1 but 2 defendants were released with judges issuing stern warnings to attorneys for the federal government. This is an ICE case. So far, there have been 5 releases at a habeas corpus hearing this morning. One judge compared the actions of the U.S. Attorney's Office to those of a third world entity. A habeas corpus hearing is when the government must show it has a legal right to detain someone. Federal Judge John Antoon ruled Johnny Rondon Rodriguez, who has a brain tumor, has been unlawfully detained at the Orange County Jail for almost a month on an immigration hold. The judge released him today. Philip Arroyo is Rodriguez's attorney.
What we are seeing is massive detention and arrests, which are illegal, unconstitutional, and quite frankly, immoral.
When held on an ICE detainer with no underlying criminal charges, a person can only be detained for 48 hours. Arroyo says what's been happening lately, ICE agents pick up the detainee between 48 and 72 hours and then rebook them hours later. Judge Paul Byron described it as a way to artificially reset the clock, calling it, quote, wildly inappropriate. As of today, there are 134 inmates with an ICE hold and no local charges. In Minneapolis, local officials say the immigration crackdown continues. Last week, Tom Homan, known as the border czar, said there would be a reduction of immigration officers in the city. That was if the city gave more access to county jails. The local sheriff says she's willing to compromise.
I hear you saying you're considering notifying ICE when someone will be released, which would be a change.
I could say that there's been conversations had, in my opinion, truly the worst of the worst, murder, rape, things like that. I do think that we need to have further conversations.
The Hennepin County medical examiner ruled the death of Alex Preddy a homicide. He was that nurse killed by CBP agents last month.
Well, we've all heard it, cuss words from a coach on the sideline.
But what if those words were put into writing and directed toward another local team, like a crosstown rival? Next at 5, I uncovered some of those texts from a Winter Park football coach, and what he said just might shock you. This portion of the news is sponsored by Launch Credit Union. Well, we all know high school sports coaches can use some colorful language, especially when addressing a team's rival. But what about when they put it in writing? So I recently obtained a text from a Winter Park football coach to a group chat, including his offensive line. I want to warn you, it is laced with profanity and insults toward another school in Orange County. The Winter Park football team went 6-5 last year. Before their October 24th matchup with crosstown rival Timber Creek, offensive coordinator Kit Hill sent this group text to the 2025 Hogs. That's the offensive line group chat. In it, he briefly writes about strategy aimed at the Timber Creek defense. Then writes, quote, "Side note, I hate going to their hole field. I hate walking through their hole stands and by their hole students, parents, and fans. I hate they make us ride out there to beat their. They should come to us every year so we don't have to go all the way out to that inbred hole dump of a place." Winter Park players forwarded that text message to Timber Creek, who then sent it to me. Now, I sent a request to the district, and after months of waiting, they sent me this professional standards file. In it, the district found sufficient evidence to support the allegations. Hill apologizes, saying, quote, "At no point did I intend any disrespect or harm toward Timber Creek High School, its students, faculty, administration, or parents. My comments were meant to encourage our team and maintain the spirit of the rivalry. I deeply regret that my actions have resulted in unintended consequences." The case was closed. Hill received verbal coaching for the text. He's still listed as faculty at Winter Park High School. However, the website no longer shows him as offensive coordinator.
I want to know what the verbal coaching is.
The coach receiving verbal coaching?
Yes, yeah.
Maybe I'll have to do a follow-up.
Interesting story,
Thank you.
know, and you've played sports in high school. You said that sort of language was somewhat common.
Yeah, I would say we've all
Yeah.
heard that,
I think
especially
so.
when talking
But
about
not
rival.
necessarily
But you don't
put in writing.
Put it in writing, and,
Yeah.
and there is an argument that maybe it's not appropriate after all these years to talk to kids like that. All right, Jonathan Kegas, our meteorologist, joining us now. Looks beautiful behind you. The weather's getting much nicer now.
It is, yeah. We are going to have a little hiccup Thursday into Friday. If you don't like the chilly stuff, it is going to come back. Tomorrow is a very short-lived warm-up, but here is a beautiful look outside, beautifully blue skies. Live look with our downtown Orlando, Light Orlando, delivering Hope Skycam this evening. We have air temperatures back into the 60s. That's still running about 10 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year, but way above on where we were over the weekend and even yesterday by about 10 degrees. We're at 63 in Oviedo, Titusville. Good evening. We are at 64. Same for us in Mims. Melbourne, we're hanging around 60, 63 degrees in Palm Bay. Groveland, we are also at 63 degrees tonight. There's the temperature change. So yesterday at this time, it showed about the same thing. So we're adding another 10 degrees basically on top of what we've seen over the weekend to now put us back into the low to mid 60s. Again, that's a 13-degree temperature change on the warmer side of things when compared to yesterday at this time. Pretty wild stat here, though. We just received our third consecutive day at or below freezing at the Orlando International Airport. That ties us for the 8th longest stretch on record, not beating the longest of 6 back in 1977. But since Saturday morning, we have started our days at or below freezing. Of course, you know, Sunday morning and Monday morning, yesterday, we were way below. We're going to break that stretch tomorrow, though, at least in Orlando. We're hanging around 40. We're going to be still flirting with the freezing mark for us in Denellen. Should stay a couple of notches above that in Ocala. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Payne Law.
That's more like it. Lower 70s. That's right where we should be for this time of the year. Rain chances at 0% through the afternoon. You may see a few extra clouds try to push in here through the course of the evening and into the overnight. That's because now we have this nice big chunk of high pressure, pretty much the same one that's right on top of us right now, moving back out over to the Atlantic. So that's shifting our wind out of the south, adding a little bit of extra moisture and certainly adding a little bit of extra warmth, putting our temperatures back into the low to mid 70s. But there's a new cold front right on the heels of that. This one comes through as they move through the afternoon on Wednesday and especially Thursday morning. So you see the rainfall associated with it. By the time we are warming up, we have some rain into the panhandle. Now we are going to see the opportunity anyway for a few scattered downpours as we get through the early stages of Thursday morning. There's 1 o'clock on your Thursday afternoon. You see the chance anyway for a few scattered downpours in the mix as that front comes through. And then it takes us back down to this, right around the freezing mark in Ocala, back to the 30s in Orlando as well. However, there is significant light at the end of the tunnel if you do not like the cooler weather. 40% shot for those showers again on Thursday. There's our cooler day, struggling to get out of the 50s on Thursday. Then we're back to the low 60s on Friday. Weekend looking great, even better if you like it on the warmer side, guys, by next week.
No, we like it on the warmer side. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Well, district leaders in Brevard County saying students were planning a walkout.
They say it's all because of the 2 people killed by federal agents in Minnesota. Coming up, the warning put out by the district and what a parent had to say about it.
Well, a warning out today to Brevard County students: don't protest ICE by walking out of class. Brevard County Schools says they're aware of 3 campuses where walkouts are planned. They say they were planned for the end of the week. In a letter to parents, district leaders say anybody who participates could be disciplined.
What do you think about the school district sending out the letter?
As a parent, I really value that type of communication. Proactivity is important to me. I think after school, before school, with your parents, that's awesome. You should be able to express yourself, your opinion. But I do agree, during school hours, it's school time.
The walkouts come after walkouts happened across the country, those over the deaths of 2 ICE protesters in Minnesota. Disney has brought magic for many, and that might include you.
Soon, a new magic maker will be taking over. Coming up, meet the man taking over as CEO. We're showing you he's not new to Disney.
And later, the lawsuit now moving forward against a Brevard County city accused of mishandling a child rape case more than 30 years ago. Here's a live look at Daytona Beach. You're watching News 6. It's a pretty night out there. We'll be right back.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We are following several top stories for you right now.
An update from NASA on the problems with the Artemis SLS rocket. Hydrogen fuel leaks popped up during the fueling test. The launch has been pushed to March.
In Orange County, families have one last chance to speak before the school board takes a final vote on potentially closing several schools. OCPS is considering shutting down 7 under-enrolled schools this year. Leaders are hosting a rule development workshop right now to discuss results from some recent surveys.
In federal court today, judges released 2 defendants while issuing stern warnings to attorneys for the federal government. At a habeas corpus hearing this morning, one judge compared the actions of the U.S. Attorney's Office to those of a third world entity. As of today, there are 134 inmates with an ICE hold and no local charges.
Walt Disney World will be getting a new chief executive.
The company named Josh D'Amaro, who most recently served as chairman of Disney Experiences. Investigator Lewis Bolden is here to tell us more about him. Lewis.
Well, as you mentioned, he is not new to the company. D'Amaro has overseen Disney's parks, cruises, and resorts since 2020. He has extensive theme park experience and has been with the company for 28 years.
We'll be welcoming 2 more ships to our fleet and a second tropical destination in the Bahamas.
Josh D'Amaro is no stranger to Walt Disney World. He is seen here in 2022 christening the Disney Wish.
What does that mean? We can bring our ships to ports across the United States and to iconic destinations around the world.
The Experiences division has been a substantial moneymaker for Disney with $36 billion in annual revenue in fiscal 2025 and 185,000 employees.
May God bless this ship and all who sail upon her!
The 54-year-old takes over at a time when Disney is flush with box office hits and its streaming service is strong. At the same time, Disney has seen a decline in foreign visitors to its domestic theme parks.
I wouldn't say that we were ever worried about that.
The decision on the next chief executive at Disney comes almost 4 years after the company's choice to replace Bob Iger with Bob Chapek. It was a hectic 2 years, ending with Iger being brought back. D'Amaro has been leading the charge on Disney's multi-year $60 billion investment into its cruise ships, resorts, and theme parks. He also oversees Walt Disney Imagineering, which is in charge of the design and development of the company's theme parks, resorts, and immersive experiences worldwide. D'Amaro will become the 9th CEO in the company's 102-year history. He officially takes over March 18th. Disney says Iger will continue to serve as a senior advisor and board member until his retirement from the company at the end of the year. Matt?
Lewis, thank you. Well, a Brevard County woman will be able to pursue a lawsuit against the city of Melbourne. She claims the Melbourne Police Department mishandled her rape investigation. That was back in 1990. She was only 11 years old. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has the latest.
Although the city of Melbourne says what happened to Elizabeth Bradshaw decades ago was abhorrent and tragic, the city tried to get her negligence lawsuit thrown out. But a judge has ruled that the litigation will proceed.
I had to change clothes. I had to go to the hospital, and they did a rape kit.
Elizabeth Bradshaw was 11 years old when she says she was raped by a family acquaintance. News 6 is not identifying the man because he's never been charged with the crime.
You named him the night it happened.
Yes, sir.
You told police his name.
Absolutely.
When Bradshaw was still young, she says her mother told her the accused rapist had committed suicide. For decades, Bradshaw believed her attacker was dead until she recently bumped into him at a gas station.
My whole body just kind of froze.
Bradshaw immediately contacted the Melbourne Police Department, which found this original 1990 police report that says the suspect was not located or contacted. The agency also discovered that all of the physical evidence, including the rape kit and Bradshaw's semen-stained nightgown and underwear, had been disposed. Without that evidence, the state attorney's office says it cannot prosecute the suspected child rapist.
An officer of Melbourne Police Department destroyed the evidence in the active rape case of an 11-year-old child.
The city of Melbourne believes governments generally do not have a legal duty to provide police or security protection to specific individuals, but Bradshaw's lawyer argues that her case is an exception.
The judge says more information is needed from both sides, and so he's allowing Bradshaw's lawsuit against the city to proceed for now. Mike DeForest, News 6.
The ex-husband of former First Lady Jill Biden is facing murder charges. Investigators say he killed his second wife, Linda Stevenson. Police say they responded to a domestic dispute in late December. That's when they found Stevenson unresponsive. No charges were filed at the time. Yesterday, a grand jury indicted Biden's ex, William Stevenson, with 1 count of first-degree murder. Police took him into custody shortly after. So far, he has not posted his $500,000 bond.
Today's Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie's mom is still missing tonight. Police believe she was taken against her will from her home late Saturday or early Sunday morning. They still have no motive on this. Late last night, Savannah Guthrie posted a new message to Instagram. CBS News' Jonathan Vigliotti has the latest.
The biggest priority?
It is those cameras at the home.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, was an act of foul play.
Is it fair for me to characterize this as an abduction?
I believe she was abducted, yes. She didn't walk from there. She didn't go willingly. This is an 84-year-old lady who, in the middle of the night, while she's asleep, is taken from her home.
Guthrie was last seen around 9:45 Saturday night when family dropped her off at her home in Tucson. Then, on Sunday morning, a friend called Guthrie's children, telling them she had not shown up to church. They then notified the sheriff's department around noon that day after not being able to find their mother.
She is very limited in her mobility, right? We know she didn't just walk out of there.
Nanos says finding Guthrie is crucial because she relies on daily medication.
You say it needs to be taken every single day to save her life.
Absolutely.
I mean, the clock is literally ticking. Are you concerned that it may be too late before she is found?
We don't want to go there. Look, we just want to find her.
Savannah took to her Instagram with this message, calling for everyone to please pray, saying in part, thank you for lifting your prayers with ours for our beloved mom, our dearest Nancy, a woman of deep conviction, a good and faithful servant, and ending the post simply by saying, bring her home.
How is the Guthrie family doing?
They're pretty devastated. They just want their mom home.
And Savannah Guthrie is here in Tucson assisting with the investigation. She's hired a private security team as it remains unclear if this was a targeted crime. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Tucson, Arizona.
Terrifying situation there. Well, we have heard about some confusion about exit signs on I-4, particularly near Lee Road.
A viewer emailed us to let us know that it's a big issue. Our Trooper Steve went out there to check it out and explains the issue on Trooper Steve on Patrol.
To talk about something traffic related. So let's talk about something traffic related, shall we? I received this email from a viewer named Matt. Now, Matt emailed AskTrooperSteve at WKMG.com. And I love this. He says, when driving east on I-4, I see so many drivers try to get out of the exit lane at Lee Road. Now, he goes on and says, I noticed on a recent drive that there is an upcoming exit sign after Fairbanks, but it does not have the yellow exit only indicator that the lane will end, which is really good observation. He goes on to say, drivers then round the curve and have only a few seconds to navigate that along with traffic joining from Fairbanks. Has anyone looked at why the sign hasn't been updated? We're going to stay here just so we can see specifically what Matt's talking about. Here it is, first one. Right lane, Fairbanks entrance ramp to eastbound comes in, and we're here. We're going to stay, but look, that car thought it went over. That's the exit ramp. They had to merge back in. So now, I-4 Lee, we're in the far right, and you have barely time to get out, or now you are stuck.
Trooper Steve gives the full breakdown in this article on our website, and you can hit the road with Trooper Steve on patrol weekdays at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on the new 6 Plus streaming app for your smart TV or clickorlando.com.
A Caribbean-themed restaurant chain, Bahama Breeze, closing all of its restaurants. Its parent company, Darden, announced the news today. 28 restaurants were left. Half will be converted into other chains owned by Darden. Half will just close. Final day of operations for restaurants will be April 5th. 10 of the remaining restaurants are here in Central Florida. They will be converted into other brands over the next 12 to 18 months. The Tampa Bay Rays are one step closer to getting a brand new stadium.
Today, Governor DeSantis announced the state's support for the project. Coming up, what the governor had to say about the new plans and where the stadium would sit if it goes through.
It's going to be feeling a little more like the start of baseball season as we go for the next couple of days. Right now, we're doing pretty nice in the low 60s. Warmer tomorrow. Before we do head back to another cold down, we're going to break down how chilly it gets this time around at about 5:47.
Plus, an hours-long standoff leads to 2 Flagler County arrests. The video of a very wild scene in a U-Haul coming up. Try out the all-new primetime schedule on News 6 Plus tonight. Ginger and I have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight at 9. Go in-depth as we answer your weather questions with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour early. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus.
You can download our streaming app for free. Just search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings. All right, now to some wild video out of Flagler County. This shows an hours-long standoff between 2 people and a SWAT team. All of it unfolded in a U-Haul.
Sheriff's Office, stop!
Wouldn't be my first choice for a high-speed chase, but we all have our preferences. The whole thing went down yesterday. Deputies got a call about a U-Haul parked on the sidewalk under the Hammock Dunes Bridge. Deputies say they tried to make contact. You saw the driver took off there. So the stop sticks brought the truck to a stop eventually. The two inside refused to get out. Eventually, both Mei Ling Ip and the passenger Jamie Mays were forced out, arrested. Both face multiple charges, and for now they're being held without bond.
Today, Governor Ron DeSantis announced the state's support for a new Rays stadium in Tampa. Reporter Kristen Barbaricia was there for the announcement.
Officials are saying no taxpayer dollars are going to fund a physical stadium, but that doesn't mean they won't help fund other portions of this project. For example, Governor DeSantis didn't rule out the DOT stepping in to improve infrastructure in this area to help with traffic concerns. He also noted the state has funded Hillsborough College facilities, many of which are now in need of improvement. He said rather than investing in those repairs, that money could go into new buildings entirely, which of course is going to be necessary if the Rays are taking over the majority of this campus. The governor also talked about the lease of this land itself.
We're going to be conveying the land to the college, and then they'll be able to negotiate use with the Rays in ways that I think will be mutually beneficial. We do have some state buildings that are currently in use, and then we also own the land that's leased by the county. I believe it's their tax collector's office. That's kind of far-flung part of property, different from where they're going to have the stadium, but potentially all this could be used in a way that's going to lead to a rejuvenated Hillsborough College campus.
Now, Hillsborough officials, they're still working through the details. They're learning more about this new proposal soon. Commissioners say ownership has to commit to funding at least 50% of the project to make it feasible.
All right, we want to check in now with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. You said we might have some opening day baseball weather forecast in the future.
We do. I think there's a lot of it coming. We have a short little seesaw in the temperature department over the next 48 hours, give or take. And then by that point, I think we warm things up big time. Wait till you see the 7-day forecast getting into next week. Here's a live look outside, looking gorgeous. Still on the cooler side, but man, it feels much, much nicer if you don't like it on the chilly side. Live look outside with our Launch Credit Union camera at Port Canaveral, Brevard County. We're hanging around 60 degrees. The breeze is nice and light, high pressure overhead, keeping us mainly clear and finally relaxing those winds in a big way. The chill starting to retreat a little bit. 60s pushing back up toward Atlanta. We are in the lower 60s again, 70s in New Orleans, pushing 80 closer to Brownsville, Texas. That is some of the warmth that for the short term slides in our direction, but there is still a crash in the temperature department once again coming our way by the end of this work week. Now for tomorrow, we're doing a little bit better. We're hanging around 40 in Orlando, 36 in Ocala, 33 degrees in Denell, and all those precautions we talked about. You can pretty much remove all of them except for areas northwest of I-4. I still think we'll see some patchy frost tonight. And then just, I think, keep everything just covered for a couple more nights as we're going to get back into the 30s again by the time we get into Friday. Before that, though, here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
So here is our brief warm-up. It's going to be very nice, pretty much right where we should be tomorrow, lower 70s. Lots of sunshine to start. I think we're going to see some clouds go back on the increase. Out ahead of a cold front that will once again bring back the clouds, bring back some limited rain chances, and then the cooler air. Here is our high pressure that kept us nice and sunny today. It is departing. That clockwise airflow around high pressure, you see those green lines on your screen there, that is cranking up a southeasterly breeze that's going to pump in some warmth for tomorrow. But already on its heels, our next system, you see the rain back from Memphis closer to Houston. That slides through later in the day tomorrow and then into the early part of Thursday. And that's where our rain chances go up. That's our only shot for rain over the next 7 days. You see jumping up to about a 40% chance as we get into Thursday. Most of that comes late into the morning through the early stages of your Thursday afternoon. It will be much cooler as well. Not a ton of rain coming away, maybe closing in on 1/4 of an inch in spots. We'll take what we can get. Obviously, we've been super dry, so we'll take anything. But again, it's not going to really bust the drought. Now, behind that system, we will see temperatures fall again. Back to the freezing mark in Ocala. Certainly not as cold as what we just came out of for the weekend, but chilly enough again. 38 in Orlando. We're hanging around 40 in Melbourne. Again, that is on Friday morning after a relatively warmer start to the day once we get into tomorrow. 60 on Thursday, that's the frontal passage day. We'll see a 40% chance for those rain showers again. 38 degrees on Friday morning, a little chilly out there. 60s come back our way, lower 60s on Friday. And then here comes our nice warm-up, guys. And this one's going to be extended. back to the low to mid 70s on Sunday, and then we make a push for 80 if this 7-day forecast would extend to 10 days next Wednesday and Thursday, guys.
That's what we like to hear, Jonathan. Thank you. Well, a bunch of swans have recently died at Orlando's Lake Eola Park.
And we've been wondering why and what is the city doing about it?
So coming up, we're going to take a look at a newly released document there that sheds some light on the situation.
Coming up in the morning, planning for the future in Osceola County. The major road in the works you may not even know about yet and where you can see those plans up close. Plus, temps are warming up, but it may not last long. Candace will have an update on the timing of that cold front. We'll see you for News 6 Mornings starting at 6.
And a live look at Blue Springs State Park. You can see it is a packed house. If this were a restaurant, there would be a wait. You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Only News 6 obtained internal emails documenting the recent Orlando swan deaths.
The emails show the city working through how to handle those deaths. Your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manohalal went through those documents. She discovered not only the city's procedures, but also concern with misinformation.
It's been weeks since dozens of swans have died here at Lake Eola, and it's sparking outrage and concern.
It breaks my heart. They're just such special creatures. If you think about traveling to Orlando and Lake Eola, you always think about the swan boats, and everything.
Sarah and Dakota are just two of many who have expressed sadness over the death of the swans.
That was really sad, but I mean, it is Mother Nature, so it's something that kind of can't really be helped at times.
We know that you've had questions about the state of the swans here at the park, so we've asked Orlando for internal emails regarding the outbreak. Here is what we've got so far. One resident says that they share in the frustration regarding the swans, but suggests maybe using wire cages to seclude the 6 swans. Some residents even looking at a sanctuary in England, since that group has had success in preventing and aiding in bird flu. The emails also show the city's standard operating procedures when it comes to the avian flu, as well as expressing frustration with online misinformation and openly questioning the actions of some of the people assigned to educate the public about the birds. And while the lake looks full of swans, you have to remember, this flock started with 69. And once the avian flu came through, 37 have died, including 29 royal mute swans, 4 of which were fly-ins, and 8 wild birds. The city of Orlando tells us that bird flu takes about a month to dissipate, so these signs will remain up throughout that period. Look, here's the bottom line. There's no exact flu shot for these birds, but here's the good thing. Once the bird flu passes through and the birds that are still remaining, they will have immunity moving forward. For now at Lake Eola, I'm Jana Manahal, your Orange County community correspondent, News 6.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we are working on for News 6 at 6.
Matt and Lisa, first to breaking news. A waterfront park where kids and families go to enjoy themselves is now covered this afternoon in crime scene tape as police investigate a stabbing incident there. The major clue helping police in this case. Plus,
can we just agree at the bare minimum, if you're on a scooter or on an e-bike, it's a county ordinance that you have to be wearing a helmet.
E-bikes and school consolidation plans. The local school board has an agenda full of issues. We are there to bring you and your family all of the updates from their discussions happening today. And a live look now as we go outside at downtown Orlando. This is from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera. Beautiful out there, but we are in store for at least one more really cold night. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas will be up shortly with your full forecast coming up. You're watching News 6. We will be right back. Now at 6, a local park covered in crime scene tape. The major clue as detectives investigate a stabbing. Plus,
coming up, federal judges ruling that an additional 2 immigrant detainees have been unlawfully held at the Orange County Jail.
And a high school football coach's pep talk, laced with profanities and insults. How the whole school found out about it. News 6 at 6 starts now.
Welcome to News 6 at 6. We begin with your forecast. Here's a beautiful live look at Daytona Beach as it feels like our weather is starting to turn around.
Yeah, but then it's going to turn right back around at us. We have one more cold night in store. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us. Now that picture looks gorgeous, but do not be fooled by it.
Yeah, doing donuts in the row. We're going one way, then back to the other way.
Yeah.
That will stop once we get into next week, but still the ups and downs continue. We've been certainly on the downswing, trying to get out of it on the upswing today. Made it into the low to mid 60s. We're still hanging around 61 in Titusville and New Smyrna. Good evening. We're back to 55, 57 in Palm Coast. Leesburg, good evening. We are at 58, back to Apopka and Elwood. We are still back to the upper 50s as well. Pretty nice night for us. Now, we will see the opportunity for a little bit of patchy frost as our winds stay calm. That mainly is now going to hold itself back towards along and northwest of I-4. I would just keep everything covered again for the next couple of nights. It's going to be on the warmer side again, but then we take that tumble on Friday. Beyond that, though, big-time warm-up coming our way. There are the winds, again, pretty much calm in the villages in Ocala. Same for us in Sanford. Every now and then we have a gust to about 5-ish to 10-ish miles an hour. Much, much lighter than where we've been. Here's our very subtle tumble tonight. Back to the lower 40s by midnight. We'll fall back to the upper 30s and lower 40s. Certainly much warmer than where we've been. We'll talk about how cold we get behind a new cold front and then work our way back into the much warmer air coming up at about 6:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, a waterfront park in Eustis covered in crime scene tape this afternoon as police investigate a stabbing. This is the man detectives are looking for right now. They say he should be considered armed and dangerous.
News 6's Troy Campbell is live at Farron Park tonight trying to get answers for people living nearby who might be a little shaken up by the news they're learning right now. Troy.
Definitely, and a lot of people are saying this simply doesn't happen here. When we showed up to Farron Park here, it was covered with crime tape that has since been removed here. But again, this park right in downtown Eustis, always filled with families enjoying the park and coming by the water. However, they say earlier today, this was the scene of where a stabbing did take place. So let's take a look. Eustis police want you to look at these surveillance images. This is the man they say they're searching for in relation to the stabbing. Now, you can see in some of the photos, he's wearing blue jeans and a black coat. Now, information is limited, but we're told this happened at about 1 p.m. this afternoon with the man in the image being involved in the stabbing here at Farron Park. Now, we are told the victim and the suspect were witnessed to get into some sort of altercation nearby before the stabbing occurred over here at the park. Eustis Police Chief Craig Capri says the suspect and the victim did know each other, and the victim is expected to be okay. Now, Capri says a group of children also witnessed this incident, so he's calling this unacceptable.
Unfortunately, it escalated into the park where we have kids and families there, so it's unacceptable for this type of activity. So we're going to make some adjustments on our end as far as stepping up a little bit more presence down in the park.
Stand by. Now, and again, here at Farron Park, things are a little quieter now, but we are seeing families coming out to enjoy the park here. And again, anybody who sees this man, they should not approach him. Chief Capri says he should be considered armed and dangerous. Live in Eustis, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Troy, thank you. So if you know anything that could help Eustis police in this investigation, call the number on your screen. You can also find this contact information in the article on our website, clickorlando.com. In Marion County, there is a state of emergency in Dunellen where a big fire broke out near a stockpile of chemically treated railroad ties. Just last night, neighbors packed City Hall to voice some health concerns to leaders after thick smoke affected a nearby neighborhood. Marion County leaders say the fire department, or the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, is on site right now to watch the air quality, collecting soil samples. This declaration makes sure the county and emergency services have all options available to address any potential contamination.
Well, some parents and their kids facing the likely possibility that they will have to change schools. Orange County Public Schools wants to close around 7 schools. They say because of low enrollment. News 6's Tylisa Hampton is live at the meeting tonight where the school board is discussing all of this. Tylisa, what's next for these families?
Well, Ginger, what's next is they can make their voices heard at this work session today. So the meeting has already gotten underway. I'm going to just go ahead and take you inside right now so you can go ahead and get a real-time look at what is happening inside. All right, so members there, they are talking about and reviewing the maps for this rezoning process about the possible closure of 7 schools because of low enrollment. Now, we have heard from some in the community, not parents yet, but just some talking about their concerns and worries about the possible closure and how that can impact their areas. Now, we know that they're talking about the rezoning maps and they're showing parents, hey, look at this map. This is where your kid could possibly go if they are impacted by this closure. And they have said some of the reasons have to do with various reasons of decline of birth rate, expanding school choice, and of course legislation changes. And all this again is because of low enrollment. Now, we spoke to a board member earlier. However, we did just hear from a board member just a few moments ago. They started by talking about Bonneville and how that could impact them. And so here's what they had to say.
I know there's a lot of angst in my community about moving those students. They don't want to leave Eastlake. They love their school. I don't blame them. I loved Eastlake too. Columbia is equally as great, but it's hard. It's really, really hard to move schools. It is going to disrupt a lot of students, and for that, I'm very sad.
So if you take a look at the screen, you can see that this looks like they're talking about Chickasaw right now. And again, it's about 6 elementary schools, 1 middle school that will be affected. And we just really felt like it was important to take you inside this meeting so our viewers can see what is happening right now. And we know that no vote will be happening today because this is just a work session to show the community these rezoning maps and to get some feedback from them. We also know that based on the feedback that will be from the community, but also from the staff, that could possibly rework and remodify some of those zones that they are saying will happen. And again, no vote will take place. However, there could be a vote in March. Parents will have their final say at that point. Reporting in Orange County, I'm Tylisa Hampton. Back to you.
Tylisa, thank you. The Orange County School Board also held a work session to discuss something they say has become a real problem: e-bikes and scooters. Officials say the highest level of accidents they are seeing students between the ages of 10 and 14 years old. Board members mentioned seeing kids going too fast, riding them without a helmet, and weaving in between cars. Now, they discussed taking action, like making students take on training to get a permit sticker, have parent acknowledgement, or banning them altogether on school grounds. Although nothing was ultimately decided, they did agree they need to have a school system for students to travel safely.
Well, only News 6 was in federal court today as not 1, but 2 defendants were released with judges issuing stern warnings to attorneys for the federal government. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti was at the federal courthouse where there have been 5 releases with 1 judge today comparing the actions of the U.S. Attorney's Office to those of a third world entity.
If only cameras were allowed inside federal court, because there were a lot of moments worth capturing today. And those words, a third world entity, were uttered by a judge in the first habeas corpus hearing of the day. And just as a primer, a habeas corpus hearing is when the government must show it has a legal right to detain someone. Now, during that hearing today, Judge Paul Byron admonished the assistant U.S. attorney on the case, going as far as to threaten criminal contempt charges.
Ahora no entiendo si ellos mismos están diciendo que es algo injusto porque lo siguen haciendo.
Johnny Rondon Rodriguez released from custody Tuesday in attorney Philip Arroyo's second habeas corpus case of the day.
I think what we're seeing today is the separation of powers in full display.
Federal Judge John Antoon ruling that Rodriguez, who has a brain tumor, has been unlawfully detained at the Orange County Jail for almost a month, solely on an immigration hold.
Hay guardias que se molestan hasta por pedir un medicamento.
What we are seeing is massive detention and arrests, which are illegal, unconstitutional, and quite frankly, immoral.
When held on an ICE detainer with no underlying criminal charges, a person can only be detained there for 48 hours. Arroyo says what's been happening lately is ICE agents pick up the detainee between 48 and 72 hours and rebook them hours later, which Judge Paul Byron described as a way to artificially reset the clock, calling it, quote, wildly inappropriate.
Today, the Constitution prevailed.
In Johnny Rodriguez's case, before Judge Antune, there was another moment worth mentioning when the assistant U.S. attorney on that case stood up at the outset of the hearing and told Judge Antune that he was withdrawing a legal filing that had been filed by the government, saying that it was inaccurate. He told the judge, quote, "I want to do the right thing." Also, as of today, we heard from the Orange County Jail, there are 134 inmates inside that jail with an ICE hold and no underlying local criminal charges. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Well, a pep talk between a high school football coach and his players over text.
The message became a part of a district investigation, what he said and how it was addressed. That's next.
Good evening. As we prepare for tonight's broadcast, we are sorting through troubling new reports in the suspected abduction of Savannah Guthrie's mother. What we're learning about a possible ransom note. All that ahead on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
We all know high school sports coaches can use some colorful language when addressing a team's rival, but few of them put those words in writing.
Well, I recently obtained a text from a Winter Park football coach to a group chat, including his offensive line. I want to warn you, it is laced with profanity and insults toward another school in Orange County.
The Winter Park football team went 6-5 last year. Before their October 24th matchup with crosstown rival Timber Creek, offensive coordinator Kit Hill sent this group text to the 2025 Hogs. That's the offensive line group chat. In it, he briefly writes about strategy aimed at the Timber Creek defense. Then writes, quote, "Side note, I hate going to their hole field. I hate walking through their hole stands and by their hole students, parents, and fans. I hate they make us ride out there to beat their. They should come to us every year so we don't have to go all the way out to that inbred hole dump of a place."
Winter Park players forwarded that text message to Timber Creek, who then sent it to me. Now, I sent a request to the district, and after months of waiting, they sent me this professional standards file. In it, the district found sufficient evidence to support the allegations. Hill apologizes, saying, quote, "At no point did I intend any disrespect or harm toward Timber Creek High School, its students, faculty, administration, or parents. My comments were meant to encourage our team and maintain the spirit of the rivalry. I deeply regret that my actions have resulted in unintended consequences." The case was closed. Hill received verbal coaching for the text. He's still listed as faculty at Winter Park High School. However, the website no longer shows him as offensive coordinator. So the district gave me that report. I also reached out to them for comment. They say they do not comment on personnel matters like this. I also reached out to Coach Hill. He did not respond to
But
my
have you
requests.
been hearing from any other parents or any other people who
Well, there's
learned
a lot
about
of
this
chatter
report?
on this story
Yeah,
online
yeah.
right now. And, most people are saying, oh, this is how football coaches talk.
That language is a little spicy.
It is a little salty. I've been on a football field before. I've had many football coaches. They do talk like that. But text messages weren't really around when I was on the football field. So
Sure.
I guess things are different now. But
Do you want your kids receiving a message like that or
Hey,
messages like that one? I'm just asking the question.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So that's why it's up to the viewers to decide.
All right, let's give you a live look now at NASA's Artemis II mega moon rocket sitting on the pad at Kennedy Space Center right now, where it will be for at least another month. Chances of a February liftoff are off the table after challenges popped up during a 2-day test of the Space Launch System that wrapped up overnight.
So most notably, engineers spent several hours troubleshooting a liquid hydrogen leak and a hatch pressurization issue with Orion. Launch opportunities now slip into March. Availability on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 11th, if you're counting. If it doesn't get off the ground in that window of time, liftoff then won't happen until April. A reminder, Artemis II involves sending 4 astronauts on a 10-day journey around the moon. The astronauts were all let out of quarantine today, where they have been since January 21st. They go back into quarantine, again, about 2 weeks out from whenever the targeted launch opportunity comes up.
I mean, at least they don't have to spend all that time in quarantine.
They're letting them out, and then hopefully they don't get sick or something in between.
That's the other thing. All right, meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. We are really finished. We're done. We want to warm up.
Throwing in the towel?
I was going to say, is that a surrender, or are you saying
Yeah,
that
if I had a white flag,
up?
I'd wave it.
Yeah, okay, because there's two different things there. We're not completely done with the cold, even though it has been warmer today. It's going to be warmer tomorrow. You may want to surrender that we do have some of the cold coming back for a short time. The warm up and the cold both short-lived for now. Here's a live look downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope sky cam this evening. Beautifully blue skies all day today, hanging around 60 degrees. Few clouds again passing through every now and then. The breeze out of the east-southeast. It's that southeasterly breeze that is going to help to warm us up as we move through the day tomorrow. We're hanging around 60 in Mount Dora. DeLand, we're still at 61, 63 for us in Ocala, Leesburg. We are back to the upper 50s tonight, and we will have that slow cool off. Certainly going to be a little bit warmer tomorrow. We did reach the freezing mark or below freezing for the last 3 days consecutively at the Orlando International Airport. It's been a long time since that has happened. That actually ties the 8th longest stretch of consecutive days at or below freezing. Again, that was Sunday, Monday, and then again this morning. The longest stretch is 6, so not too far off from that. That was set way back in 1977. The previous stretch, again, that was 2010. That year has popped off a lot over the last couple of days. Now, tomorrow, again, we are not going to be at the freezing mark in Orlando. A little bit warmer, hanging around 40. We're going to be close, though, in Denellen and Ocala. Still the opportunity for some patchy frost northwest of I-4 especially. And then that chance goes away as we get into tomorrow afternoon. For that, here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
But we will have that chance for a frost and freeze as we get into Friday morning. Here is where we stand, though, on Wednesday. Back to 72 in DeLand, 72 in Oviedo, Titusville. We are at 72 as well. Much, much nicer tomorrow. And it's because of our departing high pressure cell. The same one that cooled us down is now going to push some warmth back in with that airflow, the clockwise airflow around high pressure that gets us back to normal. But then another cold front comes in behind that and brings us back down way below where we should be. There is that front tomorrow afternoon back to the Panhandle. That will give them the opportunity for some rain first, late tomorrow night, and then into the early stages of Thursday. You see some rain trying to pump in from the Gulf. That's going to be 1 o'clock on Thursday. Behind that rain chance then comes this, another round of some cold. It is certainly nowhere near as intense as what we just had this weekend, but that does get us close to the freezing mark in Ocala and puts us back into the mid to upper 30s in the Orlando area, back to the lower 40s along the Space Coast. Here we go, 60 degrees on Thursday. There's that rain chance again. It's going to be on the cooler side. More sunshine comes out on Friday. A little chilly to start again in the 30s for the most part. Look at this weekend, guys. Lower 70s Saturday and Sunday, mid 70s Monday and Tuesday. And I think if we would extend this out to 10 days, we're talking near 80 degrees. So
That's
Florida's
what I'm
fighting back.
talking about. Okay.
It's
All right, we're back. All right. Thank you, Jonathan. All right. Sports director Jamie Say is here now.
Jamie, a huge honor for a Central Florida Olympian.
Yeah, she's going to be carrying the flag for the United States in a couple of days. That story's on the way. Plus, I talked to a couple of Daytona 500 champions today. You're going to hear from them. But first, the Big 12 is fining UCF $25,000 for early court storming, which happened as the Knights were beating Texas Tech. Students thought the game was over. It wasn't. They rushed the court. Then the students were herded back to the seats. Oh my God. But that's a $25,000 fine for you.
We'll pay it.
The Winter Olympics get underway Friday in Italy, and this Central Florida Olympian is going to be front and center. Erin Jackson getting a tremendous honor. The gold medal winning speed skater has been chosen to be the flag bearer for the USA in Friday's opening ceremonies. Jackson won Olympic gold in the 500 meter back in 2022. She could be poised to do it again this month. The 33-year-old Jackson graduated from Ocala's Forest High School and the University of Florida. For NASCAR's best drivers, winning the Daytona 500 is like winning Olympic gold. Victory in the Great American Race is elusive, but it's possible. I talked to two Daytona 500 champions today, 2021 winner Michael McDowell and 2023 champ Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Each driver won the 500 on their 12th try and as long shots. That's the unpredictable nature of the race. McDowell and Stenhouse are looking forward to returning for Speed Week next week. The Daytona 500 is 12 days away.
I can't wait. I'm going to take my son to, he's a little older now, so I get to take him to, kind of my walk of fame out there with my handprints and stuff and take him through the museum. And I'm looking forward to that.
The timing was just right. And everything went just perfect for me to have that opportunity. And so, yeah, you're thankful for it, but you're trying to recreate it. You're trying to do everything you can, to give yourself another opportunity at it because it's so hard. I mean, and so to go down there, with the Moto Casino car and try to, recreate that and get back to victory lane is something that, excites me and has me ready to go.
UCF baseball is about to fire the ignition too. The Knights open the season in just a week and a half. News 6 Sports checked in with the team at practice today. The roster features 30 transfers. So time together on the diamond before the season is really at a premium. Their non-conference schedule features games with Stetson, Miami, and defending national champion LSU. The campaign starts on February 13th.
I can't wait to compete. I mean, I know I can speak for everyone here that we are here to win and we want to compete, play the best competition we possibly can.
We want everything, right? And that's something that Coach Fall has built is we've been preparing since the fall.
If you want to play at the highest level and make it as far as you can, you got to play those teams. But it starts with Siena week 1.
And week 1, game 1 is February 13th. UCF, you never know. They're always pretty good.
Absolutely. They always have a good team. All right, Jamie, thank you. More news coming up at 9 o'clock on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app.
Until then, have a great night, everybody. Bye.
do. And Steve needs to go home. Oh. All right. Thanks, guys.